base of the end of the world starting with 5 million points. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26, Sneaking into Paradise City. Wait for me. After changing his clothes, Luo Ren ran out from behind the bushes and wiped 2 handfuls of yellow mud on his face just in case. When the other Heavenly Army soldiers saw him, they had no suspicion and just asked curiously, "Why did you come out of the bushes? What were you doing there? Is there a woman inside?" Haha. Not being recognized, Luo Ren couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief and said with a smile, "There are no women, but there are a lot of yellow things. Do you want them? Yellow stuff? Gold? Yes, of course. Must definitely. Although gold is useless now, it will be useful in the future if it is not kept in full," a tall soldier said, and walked towards the bushes. Luo Ren immediately grabbed the man and said in a teasing tone, "Don't be anxious. When you enter the city, go to the toilet. There is a lot of gold there." Hahaha. It turns out that the yellow thing is this. It's also gold. It made me laugh. Datao. If you want it, you can ask me, and I will provide it for free. Hahaha. After hearing this, the Heavenly Army soldiers nearby couldn't help laughing. After hearing this, the Heavenly Army soldiers named Datao's face immediately fell. He glared at Luo Ren fiercely and stopped talking. Luo Ren just smiled and didn't pay much attention. He felt comfortable when he successfully blended into the Heavenly Army. He was even happier when he followed them and successfully entered the Heavenly City without encountering any obstacles. After entering the city, as he expected, after entering the city gate and walking forward for less than 50 meters, the view suddenly broadened and the space inside was indeed very large. It's a really good place that's easy to defend, but hard to attack. Luo Ren sighed in his heart. Compared with the base, Paradise City's geographical location is really unique. There are cliffs on both sides of the entrance, and there is a gap of more than 20 meters in the middle. You only need to keep this 20-meter gap to ensure the safety inside. And the space inside is very wide, with clean water, enough to accommodate tens of thousands of people. When you are self-sufficient, although you cannot be completely full, you can definitely avoid starving to death. The residents who want to come here should live a good life, Luo Ren thought. However, as he went deeper, Luo Ren discovered that he was wrong, very wrong. The residents here were all skinny and malnourished. Their eyes were full of exhaustion, and they were all male. This made Luo Ren wonder, are there no women here? When the residents of Paradise City saw the Paradise Army returning to the city, they showed no sign of excitement or welcome. There was fear in their tired eyes, and a trace of hatred flashed at the same time. Luo Ren noticed this detail. He looked at the Heavenly Army soldiers beside him. They were all fat and strong. After such a comparison, he instantly understood that the so-called Paradise City was a paradise for the Heavenly Army soldiers, but for the ordinary people inside it's hell for the residents. As the Heavenly Army team arrived at the city square, Luo Ren saw a man standing on the high platform in front of him. He was 1.8 meters tall and had a scarred face. He guessed in his mind, this should be the Lord of Heavenly City. Long Kai cleared his throat and said, "Brothers, thank you for your hard work. Although we were defeated, it was all because we fell into Luo Ren's trick. After we regained our strength, we will fight back and kill Luo Ren for Mama's sake. Vice City Lord takes revenge." As Long Kai spoke, he looked at the changes in the soldiers' expressions and saw that they were untouched. He clenched his fists and cursed a few words in his heart and then continued, "I won't say anything else. Brothers are also tired. So, I announced that the Happy Cave will be open for 3 days in a row, so that brothers can dispel their fatigue." After hearing this, the originally listless Heavenly Army soldiers suddenly burst into cheers. Looking at the scene, Long Kai secretly gritted his teeth. Damn it, if you weren't useful, I would have let you bastards feed the zombies. These Heavenly Army soldiers do not care about those who died, even the death of MCA. They only care about their own lives, and whether they can live and live happily. What is the Happy Cave, unlike others? Luo Ren was confused. Although he cheered along, it was the first time he heard this word and he didn't understand it. Soon, he and many heavenly army soldiers came to the so-called Happy Cave. As the name suggests, Happy Cave is located in a natural cave. Walking into it, Luo Ren saw piles of food, barrels of wine, and naked women. Now he understood why there were no seeing the women. It turned out that they had all been caught here, and the so-called Happy Cave was actually a place for these beasts to vent their anger. It was really a paradise city. Although Luo Ren sympathizes with these women, he can't help them yet. First, his power alone is limited. Second, he has more important things to do, and his identity cannot be revealed for the time being. Therefore, we can only save these poor people by waiting for him to come with the escort next time and destroy the heavenly army. Because he couldn't bear to watch the heavenly army humiliate these women, Luo Ren quietly left the Happy Cave alone. At 10 o'clock in the night, Luo Ren came to the place where ordinary people lived. As soon as I got closer, I smelled a stench. This was a place where people lived. It was dirtier than a pigsty, but the people inside were sleeping soundly. It might be because they were too hungry and exhausted. It was impossible to get information from these ordinary civilians at this time. Just when Luo Ren was disappointed and ready to leave, a heavenly army soldier patrolled. Luo Ren rolled his eyes and immediately put on a smile to greet him. "Brother, smoke." He took out a pack of Chinese cigarettes and handed one to the patrolling soldier. The soldier took a look at him. He was not a civilian in terms of clothing and build. He was sure that he was also a soldier. He took the cigarette and fire offered to him with confidence. After lighting it, he fiercely after taking 2 puffs, he exhaled a big puff of smoke and said, "It's great." Luo Ren's performance made the patrolling soldiers very fond of him, and he couldn't help but take the initiative to say, "Brother, you are not in the Happy Cave. Why are you here? It stinks to death. How uncomfortable it is." Luo Ren put his hands on his waist, shook his head and said, "You can't stay in the Happy Cave all the time. Your body can't bear it. Besides, there are so many people in that place. If you are infected with any virus, wouldn't it be ruined? For the sake of your body, you can't stand it. Gotta keep it in check. Ha. Ha. There are too few people who are as particular as you now. No one is sure whether they can see the sun tomorrow, so why should they care about this? You should enjoy it." The patrol soldier laughed. Luo Ren smiled and echoed a few times, then turned to the topic. "Brother, do you know how many people there are in our paradise city now?" The patrol soldier took a puff of the cigarette in his hand and glanced at Luo Ren. Although he was surprised why Luo Ren would ask this, he did not doubt him. Moreover, he had a good impression of the guy in front of him, so he told the truth. "Not counting our heavenly army, there should be 30,000 people." After saying that, he couldn't help but curiously asked, "Why do you ask this?" "I'm just curious." Luo Ren waved his hand and said with a smile, "You think our losses are so heavy this time? Will the city lord recruit soldiers from these people?" The patrol soldier pursed his lips and shook his head. "No, these people hate us so much. Even if the city lord has the heart, he doesn't have the courage. If these people become the heavenly army, they may defect at any time. The risk is too great." When Luo Ren heard this, he was secretly happy. It seems that this paradise city is very unpopular, which is good. I don't have to worry about arousing public anger when I attack the city, so I can defend the city with the paradise army. 30,000 people are quite a fighting force. He was just thinking these words in his heart, and naturally he would not say them out loud. After touching his nose, he asked the last question. "Oh, there were 2 powerful characters called Wang Bio and Wang Hu who came to the expedition this time. Why didn't you see them?" The patrolling soldier snuffed out the smoke and said, "You have asked the right person. Those 2 people have just joined, and the city lord is worried, so he did not take them with him this time. And speaking of why our paradise city got into trouble with that Luo Ren, the cause of everything was Wang Hu." After the patrol soldier told the reason for the conflict between Paradise City and the base, he looked gloating. This time the loss was so big. Then Wang Biohu and his son are afraid that something will happen. Luo Ren asked in surprise, "Father and son, aren't their uncle and nephew?" The patrolling soldier chuckled and said, "Do you think my uncle would not hesitate to offend someone like Luo Ren for his nephew? Let me tell you, that Wang Hu was actually born to Wang Bio and his sister-in-law. This Luo Ren didn't know. It's no wonder that when he besieged the factory, Wang Bio didn't choose to give up on Wang Hu. It turned out that they were father and son. It's no wonder. Luo Ren then asked, then do you know where Wang Hu and Wang Bio, father and son, live? The patrolling soldier did not doubt why Luo Ren asked Wang Bio and Wang Hu where they lived. He just thought he was curious and wanted to admire the two people. He pointed to a bungalow and said, did you see it? It's the penultimate house. Luo Ren looked over. At this time, the room was still lit by candlelight, and two figures were reflected on the window. Chapter 27 Death of Wang Hu. Having asked for all the information he wanted, Luo Ren casually found an excuse to leave, and then went straight to Wang Bio and Wang Hu's residence. As soon as he arrived at the door, he heard Wang Bio and Wang Hu talking inside. It's over. That Luo Ren is actually so powerful. 5,000 heavenly army went out, but only half of them came back. We are finished. Now I'm afraid not only Luo Ren will not let us go, but even Long Kai may be affected by this loss. This will make us angry. Luo Ren recognized it. It was Wang Bio's voice. Uncle, let's run away. Then Wang Hu's voice sounded. Wang Bio, escape. Can you escape? The valley where Paradise City is located has only one exit and is heavily guarded. Do you think we are acting in a TV series? The two of us are martial arts masters. Tens of thousands of troops can pass through without even touching us. Wang Hu, but are we just waiting to die like this? Wang Bio, what can we do now? Sigh, if you hadn't provoked Luo Ren, we wouldn't have ended up like this. You are arrogant and arrogant. How come you have no inheritance at all? Where is my fine bloodline? I really doubt whether you are my biological child. Wang Hu, who knows, maybe I'm my father's biological child. Wang Bio raised his hand and stayed in the air for a while, but finally cold and bare to fight. This Wang Bio and Wang Hu are really weird. Since you know that you are bound to die, I will send you two father and son on their way now. With murderous intent rising in Luo Ren's eyes, he was about to break into the house and kill the two people he had always wanted to kill with his own hands. But at this moment, a Paradise City guard came towards here. In order not to reveal his identity, Luo Ren could only temporarily give up on killing Wang Bio and Wang Hu, and hiding in the dark point he was observing in secret, and couldn't help but wonder, what are these people doing here at night? There are 8 members of the Paradise City guards, each with a gun in their hand, and this posture shows malicious intent. Arriving at the door of Wang Bio and Wang Hu's house, the guard captain kicked the door open. Wang Bio and Wang Hu's conversation stopped suddenly. When they saw the guards, they were shocked, with fear in their eyes. The captain of the guard said indifferently, the city lord wants to see you, so come with us. As soon as they finished speaking without waiting for Wang Bio and Wang Hu's consent, 4 heavenly army soldiers rushed in and forcibly detained them. Wang Bio and Wang Hu, who had their heads pressed against their heads, did not dare to resist, and could only follow them obediently. It seems that Long Kai is planning to deal with them. Follow them and take a look. Luo Ren guessed. He followed the Paradise City guards all the way to the innermost part of Paradise City, where a 2-story villa built on the mountain was located. Standing in front of the villa window, you could overlook the entire Paradise City. The Paradise City guards escorted Wang Bio and Wang Hu into the villa. For safety reasons, Luo Ren did not intend to go in, but stayed outside to wait. About 30 minutes later, Wang Bio walked out with a look of despair on his face. At the same time, he helped Wang Hu with a bruised nose and swollen face. Seeing them like this, Luo Ren could already imagine what happened in the villa. Wang Bio and Wang Hu returned to the bungalow, followed closely by Luo Ren. About an hour later, Wang Bio and Wang Hu came out of the bungalow and headed towards the city gate. Luo Ren immediately followed. When they arrived at the gate of the city, Wang Bio said a few words to the soldier guarding the city, and then handed him a note. The soldier guarding the city read the note, then opened the gate and let them out. Long Kai actually didn't kill them, but expelled them from Paradise City. Haha, but this is no different from killing them. There are zombies everywhere outside. The 2 of them have no weapons, and one of them is injured. It is like delivering food to the zombies, but there is a contingency in everything. I'm really worried if I don't see you die with my own eyes. Moreover, the intelligence collection is almost done. It's time for me to leave this ghost place. When I come back next time, I will lead my army into Long Kai's 2-story villa. Luo Ren thought this way and took the initiative to expose himself. When he walked to the city gate, the city guarding soldier suddenly stopped him. Who is it? Luo Ren smiled and said, brother, I was ordered by the lord of the city to follow those two people. And then Luo Ren gestured with his hand on his neck. You understand? The city guard suddenly understood, patted Luo Ren on the shoulder and said, oh, I understand. I thought the city lord let those two people out so easily. Brother, you have to be careful. It's not safe to encounter zombies in the dark outside. It's fun. If you deal with those two, come back soon. I don't know if the city guard was really stupid or did it on purpose. He actually believed Luo Ren's few words. The city gate opened, and Luo Ren immediately jumped out and quickly followed Wang Bao and Wang Hu. The soldiers guarding the city saw Luo Ren disappearing into the darkness and sneered. This guy is quite happy. He seems to think that he has been appreciated by the city lord. This guy is just fooling around. There are zombies all over the world outside. Let him deal with these two. There is no difference between being a man and dying. I'm afraid this man won't come back. Luo Ren followed closely, and Wang Bao, Wang Hu and his son were in front. It was not easy to kill them, but Luo Ren was in no hurry to do it. Wang Bao's forehead was covered with fine cold sweat. The darkness around him made him feel scared. The slightest movement made him frightened. Fortunately, there was a flashlight that brought a glimmer of light. Bang. But at this moment, an unknown thing came out of the sky and smashed the flashlight in his hand, and the last bit of light disappeared. Luo Ren hid, the corners of his mouth raised in an arc. He had smashed the flashlight with a stone. Although his vision was also affected by the darkness, it was not serious. After 7 times of physical strengthening, he could still see clearly within 100 meters with the help of weak moonlight things. Wang Bao, who had lost his last light, was extremely frightened and broke out in cold sweat. As for Wang Hu, he was groggy and could only stand up with Wang Bao's support, but he didn't feel afraid. Swish swish, the surrounding grass shook and footsteps came from all directions. Ah, Wang Bao screamed, unable to suppress the fear in his heart anymore, pushed Wang Hu away and ran away frantically. In times of crisis, even his own son would not care. Luo Ren walked out of the darkness slowly and looked at Wang Hu, who was dazed on the ground. Stop fighting, stop fighting. At this moment, Wang Hu suddenly woke up and waved his arms in a panic. After a while, he felt that no one was hitting him, and he slowly lowered his arms. When he regained consciousness, all he could see was the bright moon and stars in the sky. He felt the wetness on the ground and reached out to grab a weed. Only then did he realize the environment he was in now. Uncle! Wang Hu shouted, but received no response. He endured the pain and got up, looking around. He didn't find Wang Bao, but he saw the person he could never forget in his life. Luo Ren, Luo Ren. His voice was trembling, and he was more frightened than seeing zombies. He rolled around in panic and tried to escape, but just after running more than 10 meters, Luo Ren unexpectedly appeared in front of him again. Ghost, Wang, who then ran away, but no matter which way he ran, Luo Ren would be waiting for him in front. You are not a human, you are a ghost. Wang Hu shouted in fear and ran away. I won't play with you anymore. Luo Ren's eyes were full of murderous intent, and then his figure flashed past Wang Hu and stood in front of him. Then he grabbed Wang Hu's neck with one hand and lifted him up high. Die. Click. Wang Hu's neck was broken, the light in his eyes quickly disappeared, and his struggling body became as limp as a puddle of mud. Luo Ren threw Wang Hu's body aside and chased Wang Bao in the direction where he escaped without even looking at it. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28 Close Combat Evolved Zombies. The clouds covered the moon, and the world became even darker. Read cuckoo. The owl's cries continued, rendering the night even more terrifying. Wang Bao heard Wang Hu's terrified cry behind him, and he dared not look back. He stumbled and stumbled. He didn't know how far he had run, nor how long he had run. At this time, he was exhausted, and could fall at any time. After gritting his teeth, and running for a distance, he finally couldn't hold on anymore, and fell to the ground with a plop. Then, the dark clouds dispersed, revealing the bright moon. Wang Bao turned over, and lay on his back, looking at the white moon and breathing heavily. At this time, a meteor fell from the sky, and Wang Bao's heart was shocked. He had a premonition that something was about to happen. Rustle, the dense footsteps reached his ears. He turned his head and saw 5 or 6 figures staggering towards him in the weak moonlight. Zombies. Wang Bao was terrified and quickly got up and ran away. But he was exhausted and couldn't outrun these zombies. Soon the zombies behind him caught up and pounced on him. At such a close distance, he could even see the broken meat between the zombies' teeth. Wang Bao's scream was particularly loud in the middle of the night, but the next second it turned into a goo 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 sound, because his throat was bitten by the zombies, and blood gushed out of his mouth. Shua. Suddenly, a figure flashed by, and in an instant, 3 of the 6 zombies' heads were separated, and then there was another cold light, and the remaining 3 zombies were also killed. Just when Wang Bao was surprised, the person who came showed his true face. It was Luo Ren. Seeing Luo Ren, Wang Bao's eyes were full of shock. This man should not be here. Wang Hu is dead. Now it's your turn. However, seeing you like this, I decided not to let you die directly, but to turn you into a zombie. A zombie wandering around aimlessly, waiting for a human to chop his head off, or wandering aimlessly forever. Luo Ren's voice was very low, but Wang Bao heard it clearly. The shock in his eyes had turned into hatred, endless hatred, but the next moment, his pupils suddenly shrank, his body kept shaking, his limbs twisted in panic, and the blood flowing from the wound on his neck turned dark red. Luo Ren took a few steps back to distance himself from him. He had seen this scene many times. This was the struggle before the corpse turned into a corpse. It was often time to deal with this person. In less than a minute, Wang Bao's eyes turned grey, his pupils shrank to only a dot, and the blood flowing from the wound was dark red and viscous. At this time, Wang Bao could no longer be called a human, but a zombie. Zombie Wang Bao suddenly got up and pounced on Luo Ren with his teeth and claws, but Luo Ren easily dodged him. Wang Hu is dead. Wang Bao has become a zombie, and the information about Paradise City has been obtained. It is time to return to the base. However, it is dangerous to travel at night, and it is easy to get lost. It is better to find a place to rest for a night and set off at dawn. As he thought, Luo Ren quickly disappeared into the darkness, and the zombie Wang Bao, who had lost his target, wandered aimlessly with his hands hanging down. Luo Ren looked around and found a big tree that 3 people could not hug. The branches on it were also very strong, so he could spend the night on this tree. Lying on the branch, looking at the bright moon and stars in the sky, Luo Ren gradually fell asleep. Bang 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 bang, the sound of gunfire came into Luo Ren's ears and woke him up. It was already broad daylight. The dazzling white light took him a while to recover. Looking around, he saw a few more wandering zombies under the tree, which should have been attracted by the smell of fresh flesh and blood. What's the matter with the gunshots? Bang, bang, bang. Just as he was puzzled, the gunshots rang out again, and this time they continued. Go and have a look. Driven by strong curiosity and confidence in his own strength, Luo Ren decided to go and have a look what was going on. Following the sound, Luo Ren ran quickly. The gunshots became clearer and clearer until such a picture appeared in front of him. A human team, about 20 to 30 people. Everyone had a gun, and these 20 to 30 people were women, especially the woman in the lead. Very beautiful, extremely beautiful. Big eyes, high nose bridge, lips with lipstick, and big but not small breasts, and a pair of long legs made Luo Ren, or 3 good citizen, swallow his saliva secretly. However, the situation of this group of women seemed not very good. Opposite them was a huge evolved zombie, and their guns could not penetrate the thick fat at all. What should we do, Captain? This zombie is different from ordinary zombies, and bullets can't penetrate it. A woman shouted anxiously. The beautiful woman in the lead had a resolute look in her eyes and gritted her teeth. No matter what, we can't run away even if we die. We can't bring this big guy into the valley, otherwise the residents in the valley will be in danger. Yes. After hearing this, the other women all looked ready to die. It must be said that this group of women is stronger than some men. The valley should be their shelter, and there should be many people inside. In order to prevent the evolved zombies from affecting the people inside, they actually chose to fight to the end, which is a dead end. Luo Ren admired these women from the bottom of his heart and decided to help them, but it was not the right time yet. He had to wait. Point bang bang. Oh no, Captain, I'm out of bullets. Me too. I'm out of bullets too. The bullets were all used up, and all of them showed a look of despair, but they still didn't choose to run away. They looked determined and seemed ready to sacrifice. Boom, boom, boom. Every step the evolved zombie took was like a hammer hitting their hearts. The evolved zombie rushed straight towards the leading woman. The woman felt the stench coming towards her and looked back at the sisters fighting side by side. She closed her eyes and waited for death to come. Captain, her teammates shouted anxiously and ran towards her. No one wanted to see her die, but the evolved zombies were unstoppable, and they were far away, so they could only watch the evolved zombies swing their huge fists at the woman. Just when they were desperate, suddenly, a figure flew out of the jungle and blocked the woman. Then, under the gaze of the woman's comrades, the man caught the evolved zombie's fist with one hand, and then kicked the evolved zombie on the thick fat belly. This scene was like an ant trying to shake a tree for them. In their imagination, the man would definitely be knocked out in the next second. However, the reality was different from what they imagined. Under the kick of this man, he actually flew back 3 meters and hit the ground heavily. They were stunned, and their faces were full of disbelief. The man had no time to deal with them. He rushed towards the evolved zombie with a saber in his hand. With a swoosh, the saber blade was completely immersed in the thick fat. This was not because the saber was so sharp, but because the man was too powerful. Then the man pulled the knife back with his backhand. With a sizzle, the belly of the giant zombie was cut open, and dark red blood plasma flowed out, revealing the rotten internal organs of ordinary zombies. The internal organs of this giant zombie were still well made, and even the heart was still beating. The evolved zombie frantically rotated its hands and feet, roaring and struggling, trying to hammer the little human in front of it into a meat pie, but the man was too strong, firmly suppressing it, and the speed was also very fast, making its chaotic fists miss every time man dodged a punch, then raised his hand and slashed the evolved zombie's neck. The entire blade of the saber was not inserted, and then he slashed hard. Clang. The saber chopped the evolved zombie's cervical vertebrae, but it was like cutting pig iron. But fortunately the man was strong. Even the hard bones were finally cut off by his knife. Chapter 29. Daughter Valley. The head of the evolved zombie was separated from its body, still opening its mouth and glaring at the man. Luo Ren showed no mercy, and then chopped the giant zombie's head with a knife, killing it completely. The head was chopped open, and the sharp saber in the man's hand had several more notches, losing its previous sharpness, which showed how hard the giant zombie's bones were, but the man didn't care about it at all. He cared about what was inside the evolved zombie's head. Using the severely damaged saber, he stirred inside the evolved zombie's head, and a milky white crystal was lifted out. The man picked up the milky white crystal and wiped it clean. This scene stunned more than 20 women. The giant zombie that could not be penetrated by bullets was actually chopped to death by the man in front of him with a saber. Is this still human power? The beautiful woman in the lead, as the captain, was also surprised, but she quickly restrained herself. She walked forward, curiously looked at the milky white evolution crystal in the man's hand, and then stretched out a hand and smiled kindly. "Thank you, my name is Suan Tang." The man put the milky white crystal into his pocket, looked at the woman in front of him carefully, and shook hands with her for a long time, saying, "Luo Ren." Yes, it was Luo Ren who made the move. The reason why he waited until the women had run out of bullets before making the move was also for safety considerations. The fat of the giant zombie is very thick and very strong. Our bullets can't penetrate it, but you killed it with just a saber. How can you have such powerful strength and speed? Suan Tong approached Luo Ren and said in a voice that only the two of them could hear, could it be related to the crystal that fell out of the giant zombie's head? But your strength is far stronger than that of the giant zombie. You should have used a lot of those crystals. Did you eat them directly, or was there any special method? Luo Ren couldn't help but look up to the woman. This woman is very smart. With just such a few details, she actually guessed so much. However, even if she guessed it, Luo Ren would not admit it. Rescuing is just rescuing, not giving everything he knows. You are out of ammunition now. It will be very dangerous if you encounter zombies. Go back to the shelter as soon as possible. After saying that, Luo Ren turned around and was about to leave. At this time, Suan Tong called him. Hey, wait a minute. Luo Ren looked back to see what she was going to say. Wait a minute. After all, you are our savior. We have nothing to thank you for now. Why don't you go back to the valley with us so that we can show our hospitality? And Tong's face was full of sincerity, and it didn't seem like she had any ulterior motives. Yes, if it weren't for you, we would have died at the hands of this beast. Going back to the valley with us to have a simple meal is also our intention. Yes, this is the first time Sister and Tong invites a man. The other women also echoed. Facing the hospitality of these women, Luo Ren frowned slightly and thought for a while. He thought that these women would sacrifice themselves for the safety of the people in the valley. He thought that they should have no other purpose. However, even with his skills, he was confident that he could still escape. Thinking of this, he immediately agreed. Okay, in fact, Luo Ren had another purpose. He wanted to see how many people were in the valley mentioned by these women. If there were many people, he could spend some effort to get them to join the base, so as to increase the population of the base. The plan went better than expected. Luo Ren is so powerful. If we let him join the Daughter Valley, our strength will definitely increase greatly. We don't have to be afraid of such giant zombies. Seeing Luo Ren agreed, Suan Tong's eyes flashed with surprise. She had her own little thoughts for inviting Luo Ren point in this way. Luo Ren followed Suan Tong and his group to the place where they hid the vehicles. There were 3 vehicles in total. Because they were pickup trucks, more than 20 people could sit in 3 vehicles, but it was a bit crowded. Luo Ren was among many women, feeling their smooth skin and smelling the fragrance of their hair. As expected, no matter what time, girls always love to be cleaner than boys. If you are squeezed among a group of men, you will probably smell the masculine smell of men. What is the valley you are talking about? Luo Ren asked curiously. Suan Tong, who was sitting in the co-pilot seat, looked back at him and said, the full name of the valley is Daughter Valley, which is our shelter. Daughter Valley? Luo Ren pondered. This name is too strange, and asked curiously, does it have anything to do with the Daughter Country and Journey to the West? Suan Tong smiled and said, Daughter Valley is Daughter Valley, and Daughter Country is Daughter Country. There is no relationship between the two. If you insist that there is a relationship, they may be more similar. Luo Ren was still puzzled. Suan Tong smiled mysteriously and said, you will know when you get there. Daughter Valley is not far from the starting point, only 7 or 8 kilometers away. In the end of the world without traffic jams, it takes about 20 minutes to drive there. This Daughter Valley was also built based on natural barriers, but no matter the materials used to build the city walls and gates, or the degree of easy defense and difficult attack, Daughter Valley cannot compare to Heaven City. The city walls and gates of Daughter Valley are all made of wood, which can only block ordinary zombies. If they are evolved zombies or surviving humans, they will be useless. When approaching the city, the soldiers guarding the city immediately opened the city gates when they saw Suan Tong, and the convoy slowly drove into the city. As the vehicles drove in, Luo Ren found that all the soldiers inside were women, without a single man, and the residents of Daughter Valley were more women than men. Now he understood why Daughter Valley was called this name. He looked at everything in the Daughter Valley and saw that, although the scenery inside was not as peaceful and beautiful as the base, it was like a paradise on earth and a blessed place compared to the Paradise City. People inside also planted crops, but because the area was too small and there was little arable land, the crops produced were not enough to feed the residents in the valley, so someone had to go out to search for food almost every day. Luo Ren wanted to ask questions, but he didn't know how to address Su and Tang for a while. Calling her Miss Su seemed strange, calling her Miss Su seemed disrespectful, and calling her by her full name seemed awkward. Su and Tang was so smart that she naturally saw Luo Ren's confusion. She smiled and said, "Just call me Antong, and I'll call you Brother Ren. How about that?" "Of course, no problem." Luo Ren was not polite and smiled. "Antong, how many people are there in your daughter valley, Su?" Antong thought for a while and said, "I haven't counted this in detail. Probably about 10,000. 10,000. Luo Ren raised his eyebrows and made up his mind. It is very necessary to win over this daughter valley. 10,000 people is not a small number. You know, the base now has only a little over 10,000 people, and it takes 50,000 people to upgrade the base to level 3. When he returns to the base this time, he will directly send troops to Paradise City. He will bring all the 30,000 people in the city back to the base. At that time, the base will have 40,000 people. If the 10,000 people in the daughter valley can also join the base, then it will just reach the 50,000 people required for the upgrade. I wonder what kind of person the manager of daughter valley is. Luo Ren thought to himself and asked, "Antong, can you introduce the founder of your daughter valley to me?" Ha. Su Antong listened to his words, but kept covering her mouth and laughing, and didn't say anything. Luo Ren looked at her and felt a little nervous. Is she unwilling to introduce the manager of daughter valley to me? Seeing Luo Ren frowning, the woman sitting next to him also smiled, and then explained, "We don't have a manager in daughter valley. If you insist on saying who the manager is, then it's right in front of us." Chapter 30 Administrator Su and Tang. How could Luo Ren not understand such an obvious hint? He looked at Su and Tang with surprise. Su and Tang smiled slightly and nodded, admitting that she was the manager of daughter valley. Luo Ren also scratched his head and said embarrassedly, "So Antong, you are the manager of daughter valley. I'm short-sighted." Su and Tang waved her hand and smiled. "To be precise, I'm just one of the managers. How can I manage daughter valley so well? I need my sisters to work together, so the real managers are all of us, sister." "Antong, you are too modest." "Yes, sister Antong, if it weren't for your strategic command, how could our daughter valley develop so well?" Yes. The women rushed to him next to say one by one. Seeing this, Luo Ren couldn't help thinking, I don't know if this woman is really modest or fake modesty, but after saying this, it will gain the favor of others. At the same time, the vehicle stopped in front of a house. The women around him got off one by one, and Luo Ren got off with them. The house in front of him was built entirely of wood. Although it did not have the angular and exquisite beauty of modern buildings, it had an antique charm, which was the type that Luo Ren liked. Su and Tang walked to the door and made a gesture of invitation, saying, "This is my residence. Please come in, Brother Ren." Luo Ren stepped over the threshold without hesitation and walked into the house. The fragrance of wood filled his nose, making people feel refreshed. Not only was the house made of wood, but even the furnishings in it were made of wood, such as wooden tables, wooden chairs, etc. "Brother Ren, please sit down." The other women did not come in together, so there were only Luo Ren and Su and Tang in the room. Luo Ren sat down at the square table, and Su and Tang poured him a glass of water, then sat down herself, holding her chin with both hands, and looking at Luo Ren. Luo Ren was thirsty, so he immediately picked up the water cup to drink. While drinking the water, he suddenly saw Su and Tang stared at him. For a moment, he didn't know whether he should drink the water, so he put down the water and asked, "Is there something on my face?" Su and Tang still stared at him, not embarrassed at all, and said, "No." Luo Ren couldn't help but feel strange, and then asked, "Then why are you staring at me?" Haha. "Of course it's because you are good looking, Brother Ren. To be honest, I have seen a lot of handsome guys, but this is the first time I have seen a combination of a young and tough guy like you, Brother Ren. You are so handsome. If it were an ordinary girl, she would definitely be shy and silent, or find some excuses, but Suan Tong is the kind of carefree and straightforward personality, saying whatever she wants, without hiding it. Luo Ren touched his nose. He believed Suan Tong's words very much, because he was handsome, and he knew that he was definitely good at fighting. To be honest, if he was a woman, he would be fascinated by her good vision. Luo Ren really wanted to blurt out this sentence, but it would seem too narcissistic, so it's better to be modest. Thank you. While the two were chatting, footsteps were heard outside the door, and then the women who came back together walked in. They changed into clean clothes and held all kinds of food in their hands, including fruits, barbecue, and bread and other staples. Luo Ren could smell the fragrance from a distance. When the dishes were served, Luo Ren couldn't help swallowing his saliva. He had eaten compressed dry food for a few days, and it would be a lie to say that he was not greedy. When he saw these foods, Suan Tong saw Luo Ren swallowing his saliva and wanted to laugh. It seems that no one can resist the temptation of delicious food, even if this person is very powerful. These are the only foods in the valley. Don't despise them, Brother Ren. Suan Tong smiled. Luo Ren said quickly, under the current situation, it is very good to have such a rich food. How can I dislike it? That's good, that's good. Suan Tong made a gesture of invitation. Then please eat. It was really a long-awaited sentence, but Luo Ren still forced himself to restrain the desire to eat heartily and cast his eyes on Suan Tong. The host hasn't moved yet, so how can he, the guest, move his chopsticks first? Of course, this is only one of the reasons. The most important thing is that he doesn't know whether there are any ingredients added to these foods. It's better to be careful when going out. Suan Tong saw that Luo Ren didn't move his chopsticks for a long time and immediately guessed what Luo Ren was thinking. Then she picked up the chopsticks and ate all the food on the table without hesitation under Luo Ren's gaze. Luo Ren thought to himself, it seems that I have judged others by my own standards. After confirming that the food was not poisonous, Luo Ren no longer suppressed his temper and immediately began to eat. If Suan Tong was not beside him, he would have eaten this little food in a few minutes at his usual speed of eating. Brother Ren, are you so powerful because of the white jade-like thing that fell out of the giant zombie's head? Seeing that Luo Ren was enjoying his meal, Suan Tong suddenly asked. Luo Ren's movements froze slightly, and then he looked at Suan Tong and swallowed a mouthful of food with a gulp. So she invited me here for this matter. I wonder if she will force me to ask on her own territory if I don't tell the truth. Humph, although 2 fists cannot beat 4 hands, I can still escape. If you come hard, then I will kidnap you first. Capture the thief first. Then it depends on whether your sisters will care about your life. Thinking so, Luo Ren shook his head and said, no. After the words fell, Suan Tong's face did not change as expected, but she said with some disappointment, it seems that I was wrong. Suan Tong's performance was beyond Luo Ren's expectations, and he was also a little disappointed. Why would she react like this? It seems that I can't use violence. Silence. For a long time, and Tong, Brother Ren, the 2 of them bumped their heads at the same time, and Luo Ren hurriedly said, you speak first. Suan Tong was not polite and immediately said, it's like this, Brother Ren, you are powerful, but it's not a good thing to always act alone like this. I'll say it directly, I sincerely invite you to join Daughter Valley here, Pa. When Luo Ren heard this, he sent the chopsticks and dropped them. Suan Tong snatched his words. He was still thinking about pulling Daughter Valley to join the base, but he didn't expect Suan Tong to want him to join Daughter Valley. Now he didn't know how to speak. Luo Ren scratched his head, really didn't know what to say. Sister. And Tong is not good. Just then, a woman rushed in. Seeing that there were outsiders, she swallowed the words that were on her lips. Then she leaned close to Suan Tong's ear and whispered, but Luo Ren, whose voice was so low, could not hear it at all. Suan Tong's face gradually changed as she listened. After the woman finished speaking, her face was already very ugly. Brother Ren, please think about it first. I have something urgent to deal with. After she finished speaking to Luo Ren, she hurried away with the woman. Luo Ren felt strange about this. what happened so anxiously, but he did not chase after her to ask clearly. After all, he was just a guest. Bang. Just then, gunshots rang out, and Luo Ren put down the chopsticks he had just picked up. He walked out of the house and heard that the sound came from the direction of the city gate, and Suan Tong seemed to be going to the direction of the city gate just now. It a zombie attacking the city? This thought flashed through Luo Ren's mind, and he immediately ran towards the direction of the city gate point. As he got closer to the city gate, Luo Ren could vaguely see that the number of female soldiers on the city wall was several times more than when he came. They were in various fighting postures, but no one fired a gun. This doesn't look like a zombie attack, but more like an armed confrontation point. Could it be a human attack? What kind of force could be nearby? Paradise City? Although the military strength of Daughter Valley is not as strong as Paradise City has been seriously injured and is still opening the Happy Cave for 3 consecutive days. This is only the 3rd day. It shouldn't be Paradise City. What kind of force is that? Only 100 meters away from the city gate, Luo Ren could clearly see Chu Suan Tong's pretty face. At this time, she clenched her fists and looked angry. Luo Ren jumped up and jumped onto the 3-meter high city wall. Looking outside the city, there should be more than 1,000 people on the opposite side, led by a man in his 20s. This man was dressed in black clothes and black pants, with a slender figure. He was also a little handsome, but still much worse than Luo Ren. At this time, he was staring straight at Suan Tong. Chapter 31. Hu Cheng Hu Fei. I said, and Tong, as long as you surrender and join us in Hu City, I, Hu Fei, can guarantee the safety of all of you. Moreover, and Tong, you can also become the wife of the young city lord of Hu City. Why not? Read. The young man in black stared at Suan Tong, the desire in his eyes undisguised. The female soldier next to Suan Tong had an angry look on her face and did not give Hu Fei a good look. She said coldly, Hu City is notorious, and you, Hu Fei, play tricks on women. If you want us to surrender, just give up. Even if the city is destroyed and people are killed, they will not join you in Hu City. TSK, TSK, TSK. That's a pity. Do you know how powerful Hu City is? With just a few of your broken guns, when our Hu City army comes to the border, I can break through your wooden city wall in just an hour. At that time, I can't guarantee your safety. After all, Hu Fei glanced at the soldiers behind him. These brothers of mine are also very hungry. As soon as these words came out, more than 1,000 soldiers burst into laughter. Their eyes gradually became hot when they looked at the female soldiers in Daughter Valley, and some even smiled lewdly, showing no shame at all. Shameless, brute, women are always at a disadvantage when arguing with men. The female soldiers can only use these words to scold the soldiers in Hu City, but the soldiers in Hu City are so thick-skinned that they don't care about this. Sister and Tong, let's stop talking nonsense with them. Let me shoot this beast Hu Fei to death. The female soldier who just spoke took aim at Hu Fei and was about to shoot, but was suppressed by Suan Tong. Suan Tong was also very angry, but her reason was enough to suppress her anger. She knew that Nugu's military strength was far inferior to that of Hu Cheng. Although it seemed that Hu Fei only led more than 1,000 people, who knew if there was an ambush in the rear. Taking a deep breath, Suan Tong suppressed her anger and tried to make her voice sound calmer. Young city master Hu Fei, please allow me to consider joining. Ha ha ha. Hu Fei laughed proudly and said, and Tong is sensible. Okay, I'll give you 5 days to think about it. You have to think about it next time I come, otherwise you won't have a chance. Withdraw, brothers. When the soldiers in Hu City heard this, their hot eyes disappeared, full of boredom, but the military orders were like mountains, and they could only retreat according to the orders. Hu Fei retreated with the army. He didn't take 2 steps. He turned back and stared at the female soldier who had just spoken. Then he said loudly as he walked, and Tong, discipline your subordinates well. Next time you come, if you are still so arrogant, block. I don't have such a good temper. You. The female soldier was angry and raised her gun to aim, but Suan Tong immediately stopped her. Sister and Tong, why don't you let me shoot? It doesn't matter how powerful they are in Hu City. At worst, we will fight to the death. Even if I die, I won't let these beasts insult me. The female soldier looked at the retreating figure of Hu Fei's team. The anger in her eyes was as real as if she wanted to shoot out of her eyes and shoot at Hu Fei, causing him to be burned to death by fire. Yeah, even if we die, we won't let these beasts insult us. I won't surrender. Let's fight to the death. Some people agree with what the female soldiers say. They have very strong temperaments, and it is better to die in battle than to be insulted. Since the outbreak of the virus, they have faced zombies almost every day, and have seen their companions die more than once, so they are not afraid of death. However, most people remained silent, with worry written all over their faces. In order to survive, they joined the Naughty Valley. But if the Naughty Valley could no longer protect their safety, was it necessary to stay? Whose city is so powerful that Vnu Valley can't compete with it. If they choose to resist, the only option is destruction of the city and death. But if they choose to escape, where can they go? Now, in front of them, the only way to survive is to surrender. Suan Tang glanced at everyone, and everyone's subtle expressions fell in her eyes. This crisis came too suddenly. Although Hu Fei was temporarily sent away, 5 days was too short. At this time, my mind is very confused, and I can't think of a solution. Sisters, let me think about it carefully. After Suan Tang finished speaking, she walked down the city wall and wandered aimlessly alone. Luo Ren saw this and followed her. Through his back, he saw Suan Tang's exhaustion, helplessness, and anger, and immediately stepped forward to walk side by side with her. Suan Tang noticed Luo Ren and said, "Just pretend you didn't hear what happened at Brother Ren's dinner table. I'll prepare a car for you and leave here as soon as possible. In a few days, Nugu Valley will no longer exist." Luo Ren consoled him, "There is always a way. If you can't beat him, you can run away. The best strategy is to take advantage of the 36 tactics. There is no shame in it, no." Suan Tang shook his head and said, "Hu Fei is not a fool. He will definitely think of escaping. There must be his spies outside, and maybe there are his spies in the valley." "How does this Hu Fei know the location of Naughty Valley?" "He seems to know you." Today, Hu Fei calls Tong. If it was the first time they met, they would not know how to call her. This made Luo Ren a little confused. Alas. Suan Tang sighed and said, "One time when we went out to search for food, we accidentally bumped into Hu Fei. He wanted to catch us, but fortunately we had a car and escaped all the way back to the Naughty Valley, and we survived. But the location of Nvgu was exposed. I wouldn't be afraid if it was just an ordinary force, but the man I sent to find out that this person is called Hu Fei is the young city lord of Hu City, and the power of Hu City is huge, which is far beyond what we can contend with. So, after half a month of trembling that Hu Fei didn't come to intrude, we thought he had forgotten Nvgu, but we didn't expect that he came today." Luo Ren asked, "Hu City? Is it very powerful? How is it compared to Paradise City?" Suan Tang replied, "I don't know the details, but Paradise City is not as good as Hu City. It's stronger than Heaven City. That's really troublesome, but the guards can crush the Heaven Army, so I'm not afraid of you, Hu Cheng." Luo Ren thought like this, looked at Suan Tang and said, "As long as you agree to my conditions, I can save my daughter Gu." Hearing this, Suan Tang stopped and looked at Luo Ren. She felt a leadership quality in Luo Ren. She actually trusted Luo Ren from the bottom of her heart that she could save her daughter Gu. She had known this man for less than a day. How could she be like this? Feeling point, but feeling is just feeling after all, and reason still reminded her that there is no doubt about Luo Ren's personal strength, but no matter how strong a person is, he is just one person. It is difficult for him to fight against 4 hands with 2 fists. It is impossible for him to fight against the entire Hucheng army. Suan Tang smiled and said, "Stop joking. I'm not kidding." Luo Ren's expression was serious, and his words revealed the temperament of a base commander. Why? Is his temperament somewhat similar to Su Zhao? Could it be that he is also the head of a certain military region? However, he is too young, so this is almost impossible. Suan Tang was shocked, so she said, "Okay, I believe you. Then you can tell me your conditions first." Luo Ren is not a serious person. Now that Suan Tang believes it, he doesn't have to stay like this. He immediately smiled and said, "My conditions are very simple. eyes swept over Suantang's body. Suantang's expression suddenly changed. She quickly distanced herself from Luo Ren and cursed, "Rogue." Although she was cursing, Suantang was struggling in her heart. In the end, she sighed helplessly because she really couldn't think of any other way. If Luo Ren could really save her daughter Gu, agreeing to him would at least be better than being played by Hu Fei. Suantang bit her red lips and said, "If you can really save your daughter Gu, I promise you." Ha ha ha. Luo Ren laughed loudly. In Suantang's eyes, this scene looked like a gangster succeeding. She snorted coldly, turned away, and cursed, "Smelly gangster." Luo Ren realized that he had lost his composure, so he quickly restrained himself and said with a smile, "Don't worry, my conditions are not what you think. What I want is you and everyone in Vnu Valley." Chapter 32. Didn't I forget it? I think you are out of your mind. Even if I agree, do you have the waste? You want everyone in Vnu Valley. Are you afraid that you don't know the saying, there is no farmland, only cows that are exhausted? When the time comes, you will be exhausted, and you will blame me. Suantang gave Luo Ren a big eye roll. Luo Ren was at a loss for words. What the hell are you talking about? Before he could finish his words, he started to squirt. Fortunately, you didn't take the keyboard, otherwise I would have had to fight with you. That's not what I mean. I want everyone, not to satisfy my own desires. Oh my, what desires? If there is no desire, I'll just say it straight. I want everyone in Daughter Valley to join my base. Don't get angry yet. As soon as Luo Ren finished speaking, Suantang's face turned ugly. He quickly stopped him and said, "Don't worry, the base is not Hu City. Our treatment of residents is similar to Envy's Valley, but it's better than Envy's Valley. Anyone who joins the base only needs to, if you are willing to work and come out, I can ensure his safety. Otherwise he will starve. You don't have a fever, right?" Suantang reached out and covered Luo Ren's forehead. It was cool and her body temperature was normal. There's nothing wrong with her. Why are you talking nonsense in broad daylight? You think I'm talking nonsense to you? Luo Ren slapped Suantang's hand away and said, "Everything I said is true. If you don't believe it, you can follow me back to the base to have a look. You think I'm stupid? I went back with you, and you detained me, and then you came to blackmail my sisters. Even a child can see such a simple deception." Suantang rolled her eyes and walked slowly forward without stopping. This woman is smart, but she is a bit heartless. Luo Ren had no choice but to do it like this. He dodged to block Suantang and raised a smirk on his lips. "Do you think I can't take you if you don't agree?" Suantang's front foot had not yet landed. When she heard Luo Ren's words, her body froze for a moment. She looked at Luo Ren nervously and said, "I didn't expect that. I saw the wrong person. It turns out that you and that Hu Fei are the same. Hu Fei and I are not the same thing. I'm better than him." The word strong came out, and Luo Ren hugged Suantang. The two were face to face. At this time, they could be described as being close at hand. "What do you want to do, Suantang wanted to break away from Luo Ren's arms, but Luo Ren's strength was too great, and her arms were like steel pliers. Her resistance did not achieve any results. Luo Ren leaned close to Suantang's ear. His hot breath made Suantang's heart beat faster and her ears itched. Luo Ren whispered, "What I don't want to do, I'm just asking you, do you agree to my conditions?" To others, this scene would not look like a threat at all, but like a couple in love whispering. Suantang swallowed nervously. "What if I don't agree?" Luo Ren smiled softly and moved his eyes downward. "If you don't agree, what do you think I will do?" Suantang's body trembled and her eyes became determined. "If you mess around, I will kill myself, then turn into a ghost and haunt you for the rest of my life." Looking at her determined eyes, Luo Ren was in a stalemate for a while, and finally sighed, let go of her, took a few steps back, distanced himself from her, and said, "If you don't want to, just don't want to point what you said about giving me a car still counts." Luo Ren's behavior made Suantang very puzzled. Could it be that he was just trying to scare her? However, since Luo Ren had no wrong ideas, she didn't ask any more questions and said immediately, "Of course it will count. Okay, prepare the car for me. I will leave Daughter Valley today." Luo Ren's tone was not at all disappointed, as if it was not a pity to lose more than 10,000 people like this. In fact, it was not the case. That was because he had other plans. Hu Fei will come to Naughty Valley again in 5 days. At that time, he is confident that Paradise City has been destroyed, and he can stop by. When the time comes, the guards will show off their might to fight off Hu Fei and save his daughter Gu from the fire and water. This is simply a gift in the snow. Didn't Suan Tong agree at that time? If you still don't agree, then you are ignorant. Luo Ren does not recommend being a person like Hu Fei. Of course, it is not for women, but for the population of more than 10,000. Suan Tong was thinking about it, but she still couldn't figure out Luo Ren's wishful thinking, so she could only agree. Okay, I'll prepare a car for you. Luo Ren returned to the wooden house alone and waited for Suan Tong to prepare a car for him. Daughter Valley parking lot. Sister and Tong, are you really planning to go with that Luo Ren? If he has bad intentions, wouldn't you be in danger? The female soldier who was refueling the car looked anxious and wanted to persuade Suan Tong, but Suan Tong looked determined, and no persuasion was of any use. Don't worry, Xiaohu, look what this is. Suan Tong knew that the female soldier was worried about her, so she immediately opened the corner of her clothes to reveal the grenade hidden under her clothes. If Luo Ren wants to do something to me, I will detonate the grenade, and he died together. Female soldier Xiaohu was still worried, but Suan Tong interrupted Xiaohu and said, Xiaohu, you have to know that even if we surrender, Hu Fei will not make it easy for us. You, me, and many sisters will become tools for him and his soldiers to vent their sexual desires. In this way life is worse than death, so Luo Ren may be our only hope. After hearing this, Xiaohu became silent and did not persuade Suan Tong, because Suan Tong was right. This was indeed their only way to survive. Go and ask Luo Ren to come over. Just say the car is ready. Suan Tong got into the passenger seat and said to Xiaohu. Female soldier Xiaohu took the order and trotted to call Luo Ren. After a while, she led Luo Ren over and pointed to the prepared car and said, the car is full of gas, and there is a barrel of spare gasoline in the trunk for you. Yeah. Luo Ren nodded with satisfaction, then opened the car door. The window glass was covered with anti-peep film, and the outside could not see the situation inside. When he opened it, he saw Suan Tong in the car. After getting in the car, Luo Ren asked puzzledly, are you going to give me a ride, or do you have other ideas? Suan Tong replied, didn't you say that I should go with you to your base to have a look? Oh, I see. Luo Ren suddenly realized and asked curiously, do you believe me? At this point, what else can I do except believe you? Fortunately, you give me a much better feeling than Hu Fei, otherwise I would never go with you. Suan Tong's tone was very helpless. Luo Ren smiled and said, it's not wrong to trust your brother Ren. I'm afraid you won't want to come back when we get to the base. But don't worry, if you don't come back, I will have to come back. I will help you take the people from Daughter Valley. Stop talking nonsense and let's go. Suan Tong rolled her eyes at Luo Ren. Luo Ren was in a good mood and couldn't help humming a little song, then started the car and drove away with a step on the accelerator. Just after leaving the city gate, Suan Tong suddenly squatted down. What are you doing? Luo Ren was very puzzled by her behavior. Remember, I told you that there must be Hu Fei's spies outside the city. If they see me leaving Daughter Valley, they will report to Hu Fei as soon as possible. In this way, we will have less than 5 days. Suan Tong said in a voice that only the two of them could hear. I see. Then why don't you sit in the back row? It's more hidden there, and the seats are blocked from the windshield. Luo Ren said. Nonsense, didn't I forget it? Although Suan Tong's words were not right, she was very angry. Luo Ren was speechless and stopped talking nonsense. He, while observing, drove the situation on both sides. He could vaguely see people moving between the hills and jungles on both sides. Suan Tong guessed correctly that Hu Fei really had someone to monitor here. Chapter 33 Return to base. Luo Ren ignored the surveillance and stepped on the accelerator. In a few minutes, the city of Daughter Valley would be out of sight. Suan Tong breathed a sigh of relief and sat back in her seat. Her eyes could not help but look at Luo Ren's profile, thinking, can he really save Daughter Valley? Retracting her gaze and lowering the car window, Suan Tong looked out the window and her eyes could not help but glance at the rear view mirror. She was immediately shocked. She saw that there were several cars following closely behind in the rear view mirror. Google search TWKAN people from Hucheng. This was her first thought. And the next moment, the people in the car behind also confirmed her thoughts. We are from Hucheng. The car in front of us should stop quickly, otherwise we will open fire. Bullets have no eyes. We can't guarantee whether you are injured, disabled, or dead. Suan Tong looked at Luo Ren anxiously. What should I do? What else can I do? Stop the car. Luo Ren lightly pressed the brakes, and the car slowed down quickly, and then slowly stopped. Hucheng's convoy stopped soon after. There were 3 cars in total, and 12 Hucheng soldiers got off from them. You stay in the car. I'll go down and take a look. Luo Ren got off the car and walked forward with a smile. Get out of the way. The leading Hucheng soldier stretched out his hand and pushed Luo Ren. His target was not the man in front of him but the car. To be precise, he came to confirm whether there were important people from Daughter Valley in the car. However, when his hand pushed Luo Ren, it felt like pushing a big tree. The man in front of him not only did not move at all, but the reaction force made his hand hurt. The leading soldier was instantly angry, pointed a gun at Luo Ren's head, and threatened, "Can't you hear what I say? If you don't want to die, get out of my way. No one can point a gun at my head and talk to me. Hu Fei can't, and you can't." Luo Ren's smile faded, and murderous intent emerged in his eyes. Go to hell. The leading soldier felt greatly offended, and was about to shoot the ignorant boy in front of him. However, before he pulled the trigger, Luo Ren's hand had already grabbed his neck, with such great force, that it was like a pair of pliers. Then Luo Ren exerted force on his hand point crack. Before he could struggle, the leading soldier's neck was broken by Luo Ren, and he was killed. The other soldiers were stunned. The man in front of them, who had no weapon in his hand, and was harmless to people and animals, actually killed them with one shot. They reacted quickly, and aimed their guns. But Luo Ren would never give them a chance to shoot. He moved his feet, and in a flash, he came to the nearest person and punched him. Bang! The man who was hit felt like he was hit by a hammer. His bones were broken, and he flew backwards. Without stopping, Luo Ren rushed down the other people. In less than half a minute, all of them fell to the ground, groaning in pain. Luo Ren did not kill them. He picked up a gun and fired dozens of shots into the sky, then got on his car and drove away. The soldiers of Hucheng thought they had saved their lives. Just as they were happy, suddenly, dense footsteps came. They turned their heads and were shocked. Countless zombies ran towards them from all directions, then pounced on them and bit their flesh. At this time, Luo Ren had driven several kilometers away and could only vaguely hear extremely miserable screams. Suan Tong stared at Luo Ren for a long time before speaking. "You are smarter than I thought. You actually used zombies to get rid of those Hucheng soldiers." Luo Ren smiled and said, "You are flattering." Suan Tong stretched and looked forward and said, "I'm really curious about what kind of person you are and what the base you mentioned looks like." Luo Ren smiled and said, "When you get there, you can ask the residents of the base. They should have a good impression of me." The sun set in the west and the sky gradually darkened. After nearly 3 hours of driving, the base city finally appeared in front of us. Suan Tong's mouth was wide open, and her eyes were full of shock. Compared with the city in front of her, Daughter Valley was nothing compared to the Big Witch. This was a real city, with tall and thick walls and well-equipped soldiers, all of which showed its strength. The car stopped at the city gate. Luo Ren lowered the window and stuck his head out and said, "I'm back." Open the door. The guards on the city wall were immediately excited when they heard the voice. This was the voice of the commander. They hadn't seen him for several days, but they missed him so much. They hurriedly opened the city gate. Luo Shan, Luo Hei, and Shacho and others rushed over as soon as they heard the news. They hadn't heard from Luo Ren for several days, and they were really worried. The residents of the base also spontaneously organized a welcoming Luo Ren's return on both sides of the avenue into the city. Suan Tong was even more shocked when she saw this scene. She saw that the smiles on the faces of the residents of the base were extremely sincere, and their eyes were full of respect when they looked at Luo Ren. Some young women even drooled secretly, and these people who seemed to be the management of the base treated Luo Ren with the attitude of a subordinate to a superior, with great respect. Luo Ren did not lie, what he said was true. He can really save Daughter Valley. Su and Tong was very excited. She made the right bet. Luo Shan and Luo Hei stay. Everyone else go and get busy. Back at the mobile base, Luo Ren sent everyone away, leaving only Luo Shan and Luo Hei, the captains of the guards, and of course, Su and Tong. I have already explored the internal situation of Paradise City, and its specific location and marching route have also been recorded. So, Luo Li, you take 100 people to guard the base. Luo Shan, Luo Hei, Luo Ji, the three of you immediately gather, except everyone the soldiers guarding the city, and we will set out tomorrow to wipe out Paradise City. Yes. The followers said in unison and immediately went down to prepare. Su and Tong was shocked again and murmured, "You are going to destroy Paradise City, but they have 5,000 troops." Luo Ren said calmly, "What's the matter with 5,000 troops? Besides, they don't have 5,000 people anymore. Don't you want to understand me in the base? Go visit the base first, ask the residents of the base, and find out what kind of person I am, and whether I'm lying to you." Su and Tong waved her hand. "No, I saw it clearly when I entered the city. Those people all respect you from the bottom of their hearts. Not for anything else, just because of their attitude towards you. I'm willing to believe you." Now, the image of Luo Ren in her heart has become taller, and she is even ashamed of comparing Luo Ren and Hu Fei to fellow travelers. If Daughter Valley is a paradise, then the base is a paradise on earth. There is light in everyone's eyes here, which is the hope for life. She even feels that Luo Ren is not only the savior of Daughter Valley, but also the savior sent from heaven to save mankind and reset the chaotic order. Looking at Luo Ren again, Su and Tong's eyes were blurred, her face flushed involuntarily, and her heart was pounding. "Why is your face red?" Luo Ren cast a strange look. "No, nothing, just a little hot." Su and Tong's face flushed even more, her heart beat even more violently, and she actually showed a shy look when she answered. Luo Ren looked at her and thought, she wouldn't be conquered by my wise and brave temperament and fall in love with me, but she does look pretty. Thinking of this, Luo Ren couldn't help laughing. Rogue, Su and Tong cursed lightly and turned away. Luo Ren realized that he had lost his composure and quickly changed the subject, saying, "Since you are not visiting, I will find someone to arrange a place for you to stay. Have a good rest today, and we will set off early tomorrow morning." "Okay." Su and Tong nodded slightly and turned around. Luo Ren called Shacho and said to him, "You arrange a place for Miss Su to stay. Remember to make it good and clean." Shacho saw Su and Tong's blushing face and looked at Luo Ren again. "Sir, you and this beauty are not arranging accommodation." "I understand. Report to sir." "There are no vacant rooms in the base." Shacho said. "Huh? There are no vacant rooms in such a large base?" Luo Ren asked. "Yes, sir." Shacho's tone was very sure. "Okay, you go down. I will find a way myself." When Shacho left the mobile base, Luo Ren looked at Su and Tong, only to see that she was squinting, with a little more vigilance in her eyes. The conversation between the two was really tricky. How could such a large base not even have a room available? Luo Ren asked tentatively, "How about you stay with me for one night?" Chapter 34, Dispatching Troops. "How about you spend the night at my place after?" Luo Ren asked. Su and Tong's face suddenly changed, as if he was saying, "Do you think I'm willing?" Luo Ren was a little embarrassed and said with a smile, "I'm just kidding. I'll think of other ways." After thinking for a while, Luo Ren finally thought of paying attention and immediately stood up and said to Su and Tong, "Follow me." Although Su and Tong didn't know what Luo Ren could do, he still followed him because this was his territory. Soon, the two came to the nunnery, which Luo Ren specially ordered Komu to build for the nuns, so that they would not forget their professional skills, and at the same time, the base residents could come here to seek spiritual solace in their free time. It can be said that it kills two birds with one stone. Is there a temple here? Suan Tong looked at the nunnery in surprise. It was unbelievable that Luo Ren still didn't forget to preserve religion despite the world being like this. Luo Ren said proudly, "How about it? Don't you envy me? This is called cultural diversity. In the future, I have to gather together Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism. As for those who fight every day, forget it. It is too dangerous and detrimental to the peace and stability of the base." What else could Suan Tong say? She could only show two thumbs. If it weren't for the unsightly gestures of her toes, she would have to show four thumbs. Point bang bang bang. Luo Ren knocked on the door of the nunnery and soon heard the little nun Jinghu's voice coming from inside. "Here we come." Creak. The door opened a crack from the inside and Jinghui's shiny little head poked out from behind the door. When she saw it was Luo Ren, her smiling face suddenly collapsed. Then she saw Suan Tong next to Luo Ren, and her face was filled with smiles again. Jinghu's attitude made Luo Ren very unhappy. "Don't your Buddhism emphasize the equality of all living beings? Why do you still treat them differently?" Jinghu clasped her hands together and uttered a sentence of Amitabha, then rolled her eyes at Luo Ren and said, "My Buddha emphasizes the equality of all living beings, but I haven't cultivated to become a Buddha yet. Even a bodhisattva is still 1,000 miles away. And after saying that I'm a woman first, then a Buddhist disciple, you." The little nun Jinghui was very sharp, and Luo Ren's face turned blue and white with anger. Suan Tong on the side covered her mouth and smiled softly when she saw Luo Ren slumped, feeling very uncomfortable. Oh, women and villains are hard to raise, but nuns are even harder to raise. If you don't get angry, you won't get angry. Being angry will hurt your body. Luo Ren kept persuading himself in his heart, and finally his anger dissipated, and he waved his hand and said, "I don't want to be with you. No matter what, the base house is not enough. Please make a bed for her to stay for one night." The little nun glanced at Suan Tong and was secretly shocked. This girl is so awesome. She must have been abducted by Luo Ren. She thought this in her heart, but she couldn't say it on the surface. When she faced Suan Tong, her attitude changed 180 degrees, unlike when she faced Luo Ren. Her face was full of smiles and her tone was very gentle. "Amitabha, may I ask the name of the female benefactor?" Suan Tong glanced at Luo Ren with a smile, then clasped her hands together, gave a slight salute, and said, "My name is Suan Tong." The little nun Jinghu nodded slightly, made a gesture of invitation, and said, "Dona Su, please, Su." And Tong was not polite, glanced at Luo Ren, and then walked into the nunnery. Luo Ren looked at her back. Suddenly, the little nun Jinghu blocked his sight and made a gesture of invitation, but she was facing outside. Darkness said, "Dona Luo, please come back." After saying that, he closed the door with a bang. Luo Ren raised his fist and muttered, "If it weren't for the sake of your master's face, I would have to knock some horns on your little bald donkey's head." Stars dotted the night sky, and the bright moon hung among them. Without the lights of human cities, the long-lost beautiful Milky Way was revealed in the sky. Under the stars, a car came. 4 armed soldiers got out of the car, and in front of them lay 12 skeletons whose flesh had been eaten clean. One of the soldiers squatted down to analyze and check, and then said, "It's Li Wei and the others. They should have encountered a group of zombies." Another soldier picked up a gun, smelled the muzzle, and then pulled out the magazine. Seeing that there were many bullets in the magazine, he couldn't help but frown slightly. Then he checked the remains at his feet, and found that there was a gun on the chest. Signs of fracture. He quickly checked several others' corpses, and found that they all had fractures. Among them, the neck bone of one corpse was deeply crushed. They were not killed by zombies, or the main factor that killed him was not zombies. The other 3 looked at the soldier in confusion. All the flesh and blood of the 12 corpses had been chewed clean, and there were still teeth marks on the bones. It wasn't zombies who did it. Could it be humans? Even hungry humans wouldn't hug them. People eat it alive. The soldier who saw the problem pointed at the corpses and explained, "Look, the weapons of zombies are teeth, and every corpse has a fracture. Even if they encounter a large zombie, it won't look like this. Well, and they are so close. Are they just waiting to be killed by zombies without knowing how to drive away?" He raised the magazine he picked up and showed it. "This is the magazine of the gun they used. There is not a single bullet missing in it. Even if you are suddenly attacked by a group of zombies, you won't be able to fire all the bullets. The other 3 people nodded after hearing the explanation, and one of them asked, then what should we do now? The soldier thought for a while and said, this is not something we can decide. Bring the gun and report the matter to Mr. Who intact. We will just follow the arrangements for all subsequent actions. Others agreed, put away their guns, got on the car, and turned back point in a blink of an eye. It was daybreak. Mobile base. Luo Ren had just finished breakfast when he heard Luo Shan's voice coming from outside. Report to the commander. The guards have assembled and can set off at any time. Luo Ren walked out of the mobile base, and the guard formation appeared in front of him. He clenched his fists, and a gleam flashed in his eyes. He seemed to have seen the appearance of Paradise City being breached. At this time, Suan Tong also rushed over from the nunnery. Seeing the well-equipped guards of 900 people, he felt relieved. Daughter Valley is really saved. Here we are. Luo Ren smiled and said, according to the plan, we will first destroy Paradise City, and then support Daughter Valley. Suan Tong nodded. Okay. Luo Ren stopped talking nonsense and announced loudly, let's go. With his order, Luo Shan, Luo He and Luo Ji each led a team to set off, and Luo Ren, as the highest commander, of course had privileges. He did not have to march on his own legs, and could ride in his own car. There were 9 medium-sized trucks following behind his car, carrying weapons and ammunition instead of people in the car. Suan Tong looked at the team ahead and asked, where did you get such good weapons and equipment, and in such large quantities? Just luck. Luo Ren smiled, and did not answer. Since Luo Ren did not want to say, Suan Tong did not ask any more questions, but turned her eyes to look at the scenery outside the window. The ruins and corpses along the way were like a scene of purgatory on earth. Here, only by fighting hard can you survive. She could not help but look back and stared at Luo Ren, who was also looking out the window. How many secrets does this man hide? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35. Goodbye Hufei. From the morning until now, it was already noon. Suan Tong looked out the window and felt familiar. Isn't it just a little ahead where you killed those people in Ucheng? I wonder what happened to those people. Are they dead or rescued? Hearing this, Luo Ren also looked out the window. It is indeed this place. You will know if you die or if you were rescued. As he said that, he ordered the team to stop, and then he and Suan Tong walked through the team to the front. They immediately saw 12 bones lying not far away, with their flesh and blood chewed clean, and a group of crows were pecking at the remaining meat on the bones. Quack, quack. When Luo Ren and Suan Tong walked in, the crows were frightened and flew away. They found that the original car and gun were missing, and they must have been taken away by someone later. Luo Ren said, there are only bones left. Even the gods can't save him. Don't worry. However, Suan Tong frowned. She felt something was wrong. She covered her nose and mouth, squatted down, and carefully observed the bones. Soon, she discovered the source of something wrong, and she felt worried. Seeing Suan Tong's changes, Luo Ren couldn't help but ask, what's wrong, Su? And Tong looked at Luo Ren, opened her mouth, and said, Daughter Gu is in trouble. Luo Ren was confused. What do you mean? If I'm not wrong, Hufei has already sent troops to Nva Valley, and he might be close to breaking through Nva Valley's defenses. I have to go back quickly. Even if I die, I have to live and die with Nva Valley. Suan Tong had a look of absolute disbelief on her face, and regardless of any further explanation, she ran frantically in the direction of Daughter Valley. Although Suan Tong did not give a detailed explanation, Luo Ren could tell from her words why she was worried. However, Luo Ren found it strange that Hufei didn't say that he would send troops to Nva Valley in 5 days, so why did he send troops on the second day? Doesn't make sense. Thinking like this, Luo Ren glanced at the bones on the ground and couldn't help but frown. He saw that there were fractures on each of the bones. He was secretly shocked. Oh no, it was me who was negligent. Such a big bone was broken. The people in Hu City will definitely find out about the loophole. I hope Hu Fei hasn't reached Daughter Valley yet. Luo Ren turned to look at the escort and shouted, Luo Shan Luo Hey Luo G. The three people came immediately after hearing the news. Luo Ren took out a map from his pocket, then handed it to Luo Shan and said, the annihilation of Paradise City is temporarily suspended. You follow the route on the map to Daughter Valley. If you encounter enemy troops on the way, kill them without mercy. Yes. Rozhan Lohalogy replied at the same time. After the explanation, Luo Ren quickly got into his car, drove himself, and chased Suan Tong. Suan Tong was an ordinary person who had never taken evolutionary crystals. His speed was far slower than that of a car. He could not run very far in such a short time, and was soon overtaken by Luo Ren. Luo Ren stopped a little in front of her, glanced at the seat, and said, get in the car. Suan Tong didn't waste any time, and got on the off-road vehicle. Luo Ren stepped on the accelerator to the bottom, and sped towards the direction of Naughty Valley Point in the car. Suan Tong asked in confusion, are you going to die with me? Luo Ren chewed gum in his mouth, looked ahead, and replied while concentrating on driving, you think too much. I will not die. I will send you back to the Daughter Valley. If the situation goes bad, I will just run away. Even if Hu Fei brought thousands of people with him. Although I couldn't defeat him, he couldn't stop me if I tried to escape. Besides, Hu Fei may not have arrived at Nva Valley now, and I have ordered Luo Shan and the others to suspend the destruction of Paradise City and deal with Nva Valley first. The two of us moved relatively quickly. We arrived at Nva Valley first, organized the defense of Nva Valley, and waited for the arrival of the escort and Hu Fei's arrival. Therefore, if the escort arrives first, everything will be fine. If Hu Fei arrives first, then we only need to resist until the escort arrives. Thank you. Suan Tong's eyes were red. She and Luo Ren had only known each other for 2 days, but Luo Ren was able to do this. She couldn't help but be touched. Luo Ren glanced at Suan Tong and said, you don't need to thank me. I have a purpose for this. Do you remember my conditions? After repelling Hu Fei, everyone in Nva Valley must join the base. Although Luo Ren said this, Suan Tong's heart was still very warm, and she immediately said, don't worry, do I have amnesia? How could I forget what happened yesterday? The corner of Luo Ren's mouth curled up, and he felt very comfortable. The goal has been achieved. Speeding all the way, Suan Tong soon saw the wooden city wall of Nvnu Valley. There was no army pressing down on the border. It seemed that Hu Fei hadn't arrived yet, so Suan Tong immediately breathed a sigh of relief. The female soldiers guarding the city saw Suan Tong and Luo Ren sitting in the car, and immediately shouted excitedly, Sister and Tong is back. The city gate was wide open and the vehicles drove straight in. As soon as Suan Tong got out of the car, dozens of female soldiers surrounded her. They looked at Suan Tong carefully and checked whether she was injured. Woo, and in the next second, the female soldiers guarding the city sounded the alarm. Suan Tong's expression changed drastically, and she quickly led the female soldiers to support. Luo Ren followed him to the city wall and saw the dusty sky outside the city. Hu Fei's familiar figure was in front, and the dark army was behind. It looked like there were 3,000 to 4,000 people. It's really the front foot and the back foot. This little kid is here as soon as we enter the city. Luo Ren thought to himself. Hu Fei led his army to a stop 200 meters away from the city wall. He looked at Suan Tong with an angry expression on his face and said, Tong, I only gave you 5 days to think about it. I didn't expect that you would disappoint me so much. You actually sent someone out of the city to ask for reinforcement. That person also killed my people. But, very good. After these words came out, some female soldiers couldn't help but look at Luo Ren. Luo Ren felt the gazes of these people, but he didn't say anything. Suan Tong knew that the guards were rushing towards the Daughter Valley, and she felt a little more confident, but in order to delay time, she still had to fool around. She pretended to be ignorant and said, I don't know anything about what you said, Mr. Hu. No one in the valley left the city yesterday. How could you ask for reinforcement and kill your subordinates? Hiss. Hu Fei took a deep breath and became even more angry. This woman was actually pretending to be confused with him. He waved his hand, take it out, and show it to Master Su. At Hu Fei's signal, His subordinates took a large poster paper and spread it out. There was no GG on the paper, but a person in a car. This person looked exactly like Luo Ren. Now all the female soldiers focused their attention on Luo Ren, and Hu Fei also looked over and found Luo Ren, sneering. Okay, you're back, and Tong, I'll give you another chance. Hand over that man, and then surrender. I can still save your lives. Surrender? Hand over Luo Ren? Su and Tong sneered in her heart, and was about to speak. Suddenly, hua, dozens of female soldiers turned their guns to Luo Ren and Su and Tong, and the remaining female soldiers saw this, and quickly pointed their guns at that part of the female soldiers, and they confronted each other like this. Hu Fei saw that something had suddenly happened to his daughter Gu, and he immediately became interested, and ordered someone to bring a bucket of popcorn, like watching a movie. Faced with this situation, Su and Tong was a little confused, and hurriedly shouted, Alan, what are you doing? Chapter 36. Defeat Hu Fei. The female soldier Su and Tong called Alan had a fierce look in her eyes and said loudly, Sister and Tong, I know you will never surrender, but in this situation, if you don't surrender, you will die. Why are we helping you form Daughter Valley? Just to survive? Alan's eyes were always on Luo Ren and said, as long as we give this man to Hu Fei, we can surrender and continue to live. It's just a change of living place. When Su and Tong heard this, he immediately yelled, do you know what you are talking about? It's just a change of living place. It's a change of lifestyle. After we surrender, we will become like Hu Fei and his men. Their playthings have become a tool for them to vent their desires. Such lifestyle is worse than death. Alan was not woken up by the scolding. Instead, he smiled calmly. What about playthings? What about tools to vent one's desires? Life is not as good as death. Life is better than death. Su and Tong's lungs were about to explode with anger. She didn't expect that Alan would say such unambitious and loss of dignity. But for Alan, dignity is nothing. Living in this era, dignity is the least valuable thing. As long as you can survive, it doesn't matter if you throw away dignity. Ha. Ha. Luo Ren suddenly smiled. His eyes were full of pity. He was pitying Alan. What do you mean? What qualifications do you have to pity me? Lan suddenly became angry. She did not allow the person she pointed a gun at to pity her. She had just said words that had lost her dignity, but now she was trying her best to maintain her remaining dignity. Okay. Hu Fei clapped his hands outside the city and said to Alan, I have changed my mind. As long as one of you kills him, I will give you a chance to surrender. When Alan heard this, his eyes immediately showed murderous intent. You crazy? Su and Tong shouted urgently. Alan ignored Su and Tong and kept her eyes focused on Luo Ren. She hesitated for a long time, struggling internally, and finally gritted her teeth and said, I'm sorry, go ahead. Before she could say the word death, a figure flashed in front of her eyes she could react. Luo Ren had already taken away her gun, and then she flew out. Alan spat out a mouthful of blood after falling to the ground, clutching her stomach, and rolling on the ground in pain. The female soldiers who rebelled with she looked at each other in confusion, not knowing whether to advance or retreat. I know you want to live, but you are reduced to a plaything and a tool to vent your sexual desires. Life is worse than death every day. Is it interesting to live like this? As long as you turn your guns and keep talking to us, we will still be good sisters. I can also guarantee that you will be able to live. And if you are determined not to look back, then I will send you on your way now. When Su and Tong said the last sentence, her expression suddenly changed, and the coldness in her eyes frightened the rebel female soldiers. The female soldiers were all moved. They had also listened to Alan's instigation before to do such a thing. Some of them had seen how painful it was for a woman to be a tool for sexual release. After some struggle, they were also threatened by death. Under the circumstances, they chose to believe in compromise, believed in Su and Tong, and immediately turned their guns and unanimously faced the outside world. Su and Tong's face returned to normal, and the coldness in her eyes disappeared. She smiled with relief, satisfied that her sisters had made the right choice. Hu Fei did not expect such a result. He threw away the popcorn in his hand angrily and said angrily, since you don't know what is good and what is good, I want to talk nonsense. Brothers, after the city is broken, Kill all the residents in the valley. The woman is at your disposal. As for Suantong, after I play with her, she is yours." Roar. The Hacheng soldiers burst into wild beast-like roars in excitement. Their eyes turned hot when they looked at Suantong, as if they wanted to eat her alive. Suantong immediately became angry, and without saying a word, she shouted, "Hit me." When the battle started, Hu Fei had the upper hand in terms of numbers, weapons, and equipment. Therefore, even though Nagu had a favorable geographical location, he quickly fell into a disadvantage and watched Hu Cheng's army advance step by step. "How long will it take for the escort to arrive?" Suantong asked anxiously. Luo Ren counted the time and said, "It's coming soon." "How long is it too soon? We won't be able to hold on for a while," Suantong said anxiously. Boom. Just as she finished speaking, the sound of an anti-equipment sniper rifle came, and Luo Ren said in surprise, "Here he comes." Hu Chengjin's firepower was suddenly greatly reduced. Luo Ren, Suantong, and many female soldiers guarding the city looked around and saw a professional army wearing combat uniforms suddenly appeared behind Hu Chengjin. The Hu Chengjin was caught off guard. In just a few minutes, they were defeated. Nearly 100 people were wounded and killed. Under such circumstances, Hu Fei could still continue to attack the valley and decisively choose to fight against the sudden unfamiliar army with all his strength. However, although the opponent's number was small, their military quality was extremely high, and their weapons and equipment were far superior to them. In addition, in the valley behind him people fired cold shots and saw a reduction of more than 3,000 people. Damn it, this army came out of nowhere. If we continue to fight I will be wiped out. Retreat. Seeing that something was wrong, Hu Fei immediately ordered the withdrawal of troops. Seeing this, Luo Ren jumped off the city wall and pursued with the escort. Hu Cheng's army, which was retreating in a panic, could not match the speed of the escort army with extremely high military quality. Seeing the army behind him getting closer and closer, Hu Fei couldn't help being frightened. He immediately stepped on the accelerator and walked away, but he gave up many of his soldiers. Abandoned by Hu Fei, the soldiers in Hu City were even more demoralized and fled in all directions. Luo Ren saw that they were so scattered and difficult to pursue, so he let the zombies deal with them and immediately ordered to return to Daughter Valley. The guards returned to the Daughter Valley along the same route. The female soldiers guarding the city were all shocked when they saw the guards return. They thought, "We just got rid of the wolves. How come we are going to fall into the tiger's mouth again?" But to their surprise, Suantong actually ordered the city gate to be opened and let the army enter the valley. After the guards entered the valley, they saw clearly that this army was actually under the command of Luo Ren. So, they thought about Suantong and Luo Ren leaving the city and immediately understood why the guards helped them drive away Hu Fei and Tong. "You arrange a place for them to stay. We will rest here for one night and attack the Paradise City tomorrow," Luo Ren said. Suantong nodded and immediately ordered people to settle the guards. At this time, a line was pressed up by someone. At this time, she looked at Luo Ren with fear. What she didn't expect was that Luo Ren actually had such a powerful army in his hands. Suantong said, "I'll leave her to you to deal with." Luo Ren looked at Suantong and said, "Has she done anything extremely evil?" Suantong shook her head and said, "No, we'll be together after the apocalypse. At least under my nose, she has never done anything that hurts the world." Luo Ren looked at Alan with pity in his eyes and said, "Detain her, take her back to the base for transformation, and live well after the transformation." Alan was stunned. She thought Luo Ren would kill her, but he didn't. This made her cry and look at Luo Ren with gratitude. "You don't have to thank me. If you want to thank someone, thank yourself. If you didn't hesitate when you pointed the gun at me, you would have been dead." Luo Ren called to guards to take Alan away. As for the other people who had rebelled, they turned over a new leaf in time, so they were not dealt with. Luo Ren exhaled, looked at Suantong, and said with a smile, "Hu Fei was defeated. You won't go back on my terms, will you?" "No, I, Suantong, will keep my word. From today on, my daughter Gu will join the base, but I have to say it first. After we join the base, we will become residents of the base and cannot be treated differently," Suantong said with her hands on her hips. Luo Ren laughed dumbly and said, "Don't worry, I'm fair." Chapter 37 Attacking Paradise City. Dawn breaks darkness, and morning falls. Read 900 guards gather outside the Daughter Valley City, waiting for Luo Ren's order to go to war. Suan Tong led a group of female soldiers, and ran to Luo Ren quickly, panting and saying, "Do you want us to help?" Luo Ren felt warm at the words and smiled. "No, you guard the Daughter Valley, and wait for us to return, and then we will go to the base together." Suan Tong bowed and said, "Okay, you have to be careful." Luo Ren smiled and nodded, then looked at the guards. At this moment, his eyes changed from gentle to cold. "Target Paradise City, let's go." A few days ago, the troops of Paradise City were at the gates of the city, and they were beaten and fled. Today, the guards came to conquer them, and they must make them disappear into ashes. The army set out, and Luo Ren remembered the route to Paradise City very well, so the marching speed was very fast, and he set foot on the tree-lined path leading to Paradise City in less than an hour. Bang bang bang. Suddenly gunshots were heard from the front, followed by footsteps, and they were getting closer and closer. A shrill cry, and then Luo Ren saw a bloody wild boar rushing over, and he kicked the wild boar away. Bang! The wild boar fell to the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. After struggling for a while, it uttered a final groan, and then died. At this time, the dust dispersed, and a team of soldiers from Paradise City appeared in front of Luo Ren. They put their guns on the shoulders of skinny civilians, used them as human shields, and looked at Luo Ren vigilantly. "Who are you?" The leading soldier of the Paradise Army shouted sternly, but as soon as he finished speaking, the neat footsteps behind Luo Ren sounded, and then the well-equipped guards of the same height and pace stepped into their field of vision. Fear rose from the bottom of his heart, nervous and frightened, making his legs weak, his hands trembling, and he could hardly hold the gun. The rest of the Heaven City soldiers had all experienced the expedition base, and they remembered the uniforms of the guards very clearly. They were also frightened, and stood still like the leader. When the civilians saw the army in front of them, a trace of fear flashed in their eyes, but it was only a flash, and most of them were numb. Luo Ren smiled slightly, and walked forward step by step. The guards followed closely behind him. He took a step, and the guards also took a step, forming a strong sense of oppression, which made it difficult for the Heaven City soldiers to breathe. "Spare my life." Finally, under this powerful momentum, the Heaven City soldiers could no longer bear it, and hurriedly threw away the guns in their hands, knelt down with a plop, and shouted for mercy while kowtowing frantically. This was a real kowtow, and after a few kowtows, their foreheads were red. "Tie them up." Luo Ren gave an order, and 10 guards rushed forward and quickly tied up the Heaven City soldiers. As for the civilians, Luo Ren took out a few pieces of compressed dry food, and threw them to them. The civilians didn't catch it, and the compressed rations fell to the ground. They carefully picked up the compressed rations, and then tore open the package. A strong milky smell emanated, which made them drool, and couldn't help eating in big mouthfuls. Luo Ren didn't care about them anymore, letting them eat on their own. He gave another order, and continued to move forward. The guards passed the civilians, and they suddenly raised their heads to look at the guards' backs. The numbness in their eyes dissipated a lot, and there was more hope for life and gratitude for the guards. It was not far from the Paradise City. Soon, the gate of the Paradise City, which was sandwiched between the cliffs like a pass, appeared in front of Luo Ren and the guards. Such terrain was easier to defend than the Daughter Valley Point. The soldiers guarding the city discovered the guards at the same time and immediately sounded the alarm. A steady stream of soldiers came to support from the interior of the Paradise City. When the two armies confronted each other, Long Kai arrived. When he saw Luo Ren, his eyes were full of hatred, but when he saw the sophisticated modern equipment of the guards, he couldn't help but be shocked. This posture was not good. Long Kai angrily scolded, "Luo Ren, even if my Paradise City was wrong, but in that battle, my Paradise City lost more than 2,000 people, while your base was intact. Generally speaking, you still took advantage. You brought so many people here today. Do you want to kill them all? Aren't you afraid of heaven's punishment for doing this?" Luo Ren smiled indifferently and said, "Heaven's punishment? What qualifications do you have to say the word heaven's punishment? Mahua is your deputy city lord of Paradise City, right? He has said more than once that he will lead your 5,000 troops to flatten my base. Will this be punished by heaven? Then, after seeing the military strength of my base, and knowing that I was no match for him, I gave him a chance, as long as he fulfilled my conditions. Unexpectedly, he chose such a despicable means as poisoning, wanting to disintegrate the defense of the base, thereby slaughtering the soldiers and civilians of the base, and plundering the base's supplies. With women, he should have discussed all these with you, and you agreed, right? Then will you too be punished by God for doing this? As the saying goes, I will not offend others if they do not offend me, but I will kill them if they offend me. Today, I'm here to wipe out all of you in Paradise City, but I will not kill the civilians oppressed by you, but you, Long Kai, and the tools of your evil deeds, the Paradise Army. Long Kai's face changed immediately, knowing that no words could change Luo Ren's attention. He swept across the cliffs on both sides, and his heart became more confident. He looked directly at Luo Ren and said coldly, in that case, then come on. Without artillery, I want to see if you can break through the defense of my Paradise City. Luo Ren stopped talking nonsense, waved his hand, and dozens of anti-material sniper rifles were set up, and the black muzzles were aimed at the enemies in front. Long Kai was shocked when he saw the sniper rifle and quickly hid under the city wall, fearing that he would be shot dead. Luo Ren smiled contemptuously and ordered to shoot point boom, 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 like the sound of a cannonball being fired. Large caliber bullets were fired point the soldiers of the Heavenly Army had already hidden behind the bunkers. Not only Long Kai was afraid of death, but they were also afraid of death. However, the target of the sniper rifle was not the soldiers of the Heavenly Army on the city wall, but the city gate. Dozens of bullets hit the city gate at the same time, directly punching dozens of large holes in the 2-palm-thick wooden ironclad city gate. Without stopping, after 3 consecutive volleys within 10 seconds, the originally intact and seemingly very solid gate became riddled with holes. Even if an ordinary person pushed it lightly, it would probably be pushed down. Luo Ren was very satisfied with the effect of the sniper rifle, and ordered the army to advance. Still using the tactics of attacking one bio, sniper rifles were used to kill from a distance, light machine guns were set up at an effective distance, fire suppression was implemented, and then the riflemen slowly advanced point. However, Paradise City is not Wang Bio's factory. The concrete wall of more than 20 meters long is very solid. There are battlements on the wall as shelters. There is also a square hole in the middle of these battlements, which is ready for shooting point. In this way, the soldiers of the Paradise Army shot through the shooting holes in the middle of the battlements, stopping effectively the advance of the riflemen of the Guard Army point. In this way, after 20 minutes of fighting, both sides suffered losses, and the advance of the Guard Army was blocked 200 meters away. Luo Ren touched his chin and frowned slightly. The number of the Guard Army is not as large as that of the Paradise Army. If the stalemate continues, I'm afraid that we will not be able to break through Paradise City. He looked at the cliffs on both sides of Paradise City that were tens of meters high, and his eyes lit up. He immediately said to Luo Shan, give me the high explosive grenade. After holding more than 20 high explosive grenades in a row, Luo Ren ran towards the cliff on the left side. That side was easier to climb. The Paradise Army, who was focused on the battle, did not find that Luo Ren had quietly arrived under the cliff. Luo Ren looked at the high cliff and took a deep breath. He bent his legs slightly and then jumped hard. The jump was 7 or 8 meters high. At the moment of falling, he inserted the saber in his hand into the stone wall fiercely. The other hand immediately grabbed the protruding stone, stabilized his body, and quickly climbed up. This scene stunned Luo Shan and the guards. They knew that Luo Ren suddenly became stronger, but they didn't expect him to be so strong. Luo Ren moved quickly and quickly climbed to the top of the cliff. Looking down, the mountain stream corridor was crowded with soldiers of the Heaven Army. He gestured to the guards, then pulled out a high explosive grenade, and turned into a humanoid bomber. In the corridor, an object suddenly fell from the sky. The soldiers of the Heaven Army curiously gathered around to watch. It was a cylindrical object with white smoke. Just when they were puzzled, bang! The huge explosion shook the mountain stream, and the nearest Heaven City soldiers were blown to pieces. Then more high explosive grenades fell from the sky, and the explosions continued. That is, now that the Heaven City soldiers were in chaos, their defense was reduced to the lowest, and the guards took the opportunity to advance with all their strength. When Luo Ren had used up more than 20 high explosive grenades and the Heaven City soldiers who were in the explosion recovered, the guards had already broken into the city, and they were immediately killed and captured by the guards. Chapter 38, Almost Killed by Explosion. Under the powerful firepower of the escort, the remaining heavenly troops retreated steadily. Reed at this time, in the Villa Point Long Kai, who thought that the guards could never break through the defense of Paradise City, was drinking tea leisurely, but when he heard several explosions, the gunshots paused for a few seconds, and then suddenly rang out again, becoming clearer and clearer. He couldn't sit still, so he came to the window and looked out. After seeing the outside world, his legs became weak, and he stumbled to the ground. His face turned pale, and he murmured to himself, "It's impossible, it's impossible, I must have seen it wrong." He rubbed his eyes and looked again, but the fact was the fact, and the result would not change. The guards had really broken through the defense, and were heading towards the Villa Point. He grabbed his hair anxiously and yelled crazily, "Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! No, I can't die here, leaving the Green Hills without fear of running out of firewood." Long Kai suddenly stood up, then frantically rummaged through the bookshelf, found a book that was 10 centimeters thick, opened it, and shook it. Ding, a silver key fell from the book with a crisp sound. Long Kai was overjoyed, picked up the key, and rushed to the basement. At the same time, Luo Ren led the army to Long Kai's villa, and killed the guards. Luo Ren then ordered the first and second teams entered the villa to search. At the same time, Luo Ren also followed closely and entered the villa. This villa was more beautiful than Wanhu's 3-story foreign-style building, with exquisite decoration and large space. Several gunshots were heard from upstairs. Luo Ren quickly went upstairs and saw several heavenly army soldiers who had been shot dead, and 3 women whose clothes were torn into pieces. The 3 women hugged each other, their bodies trembling, and the fear in their eyes never dissipated. Luo Ren sat on the sofa, holding a gun in one hand, looking at the 3 women, and then asked, "What are your names? What is your relationship with Long Kai?" After hearing this, the 3 women secretly glanced at Luo Ren and the escort. Seeing that the strange soldiers were extremely respectful to the young man in front of them, they guessed that Luo Ren's status was extremely high. One of the more courageous women walked up to Luo Ren and knelt down in front of Luo Ren. She whispered, "Tell me, my name is Zenzen, her name is Aa, and her name is Lion Lian. We are Long's women." "Oh, Long Kai's woman." Luo Ren's eyes narrowed, and he fiddled with the gun in his hand. Seeing this, the woman quickly added, "We have no choice but to succumb to Long Kai in order to survive." Luo Ren understands that this is normal. If a woman wants to survive in the apocalypse, she must either have her own armed forces like Suan Tong, or else she can only commit herself to a man. As long as these 3 people have not done anything extremely evil, they can be brought back to the base for a form. Become a base resident, sir. Long Kai was not found in the villa. At this time, the searching escort soldiers came to report. Luo Ren frowned. Is it possible that Long Kai is not in the villa, but hiding somewhere else? But where can Long Kai hide? He has lost power now. Those civilians are eager to drink his blood and eat his flesh. If he were not in the villa but hiding outside, he would have been torn into pieces by those civilians. The food was shared. When Luo Ren was confused, the woman named Zenzen suddenly said, "Sir, I think I know where Long Kai is hiding." Luo Ren's eyes lit up and he said, "Speak quickly." Zenzen stood up and her clothes, which were in pieces, slipped off, revealing her beautiful body like mutton fat white jade. Luo Ren was so determined that he just stared at it for a while without drooling, and then ordered the guards to take over. He took off his coat and put it on for her. Zenzen said, "Sir, please come with me." Luo Ren followed him and came to the basement of the villa. There were many debris piled here, but there was no sign of Long Kai. Just when he was about to ask, Zenzen suddenly squatted down, knocked on the ground with her hand, and then looked towards Luo Ren said, "This is where you are, sir." Luo Ren walked in and saw that it was an ordinary floor tile, and he couldn't help but look at Zenzen in confusion. Zenzen said, "My lord, please squat down and watch quietly." Luo Ren observed carefully for a while. Apart from the coat and the looming beauty, there shouldn't be any weapons hidden in it, so he squatted down and learned to knock point. Dang it's empty down there. Luo Ren was secretly alarmed. There was most likely a tunnel down here. He observed carefully and found signs of being pried around the floor. He thought Long Kai escaped through this tunnel. No wonder he couldn't be found in the villa. Luo Ren pulled out his saber and inserted it along the gap, prying the floor open, revealing a dark hole. He looked at the escort soldiers who came in together and said, "You stay here, and I'll go down and take a look." The guard soldier said, "Yes." Luo Ren jumped down from the tunnel, turned on the flashlight attached to his gun, and moved forward by the light. The tunnel was very narrow, just big enough for an adult. After walking for nearly 10 minutes, the light of the flashlight was intercepted. Luo Ren stepped forward to check, and found that a large iron door was blocking the way. There was a keyhole on the iron door, which could only be opened with a key, but Luo Ren did not have a key. He pulled off a high explosive grenade and wanted to blow open the iron door, but after thinking about it, he stopped. The tunnel was narrow, and without any reinforcement support, a violent explosion could easily collapse the tunnel. He still had a big project to complete, and didn't want to be buried alive. Could it be that we can only return in vain? No, this is not Luo Ren's style. Luo Ren took a step back, took a deep breath, and then kicked towards the iron door with all his strength. Boom. In the narrow tunnel, such a huge sound perfectly demonstrated what it means to be deafening. Under Luo Ren's kick, the iron door dented slightly, and the dirt and gravel on top fell on him. It took a while to stop. Luo Ren breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it did not collapse. Luo Ren then kicked the iron door with all his strength. In this way, after 6 consecutive kicks, the iron door was finally kicked open. At this time, a smell of burning gunpowder filled the air. At the same time, Luo Ren also heard the sound of steaming. The sound of the sizzling lead burning. Holy shit. Luo Ren was shocked and quickly turned around and ran wildly. His speed reached the extreme, and he reached the entrance of the tunnel in just a few seconds. He jumped into the tunnel, and without stopping, he grabbed Zenson and the escort who were still guarding him, and rushed out basement, while shouting, "Everyone evacuate the villa." Bang! In an instant, an explosion sounded, the ground shook, and the whole villa was shaking. Luo Ren and the others stepped forward, and then the villa collapsed suddenly. Luo Ren asked hurriedly, "Have everyone in the villa come out?" Luo Shan said with sadness, "There are still 2 people from the second team who have not come out." Luo Ren ordered to search immediately, wanting to see the living person in the dead body. Then he looked at Zenson with a gloomy look, murderous intent rising in his eyes. Zenson had been frightened by the explosion for a long time. When she saw Luo Ren's terrifying eyes, she immediately knelt down and said tremblingly, "Sir, I didn't know there was a bomb down there. Please spare me. Sir, the second team of soldiers has been found. They were only slightly injured, and not seriously injured." After hearing this, Luo Ren felt much better, and the murderous intention in his eyes disappeared. The woman in front of him must not know the situation under the tunnel, otherwise she would not have been guarding the basement all the time. His murderous intention just now was just impulsive. That's all. Since no one has anything wrong, let her go. Luo Ren ordered the escort, detain them first, and wait for the people to judge them. If they have not done anything extremely heinous, take them back to the base for reform. Chapter 39, Extinction of Paradise City. The time soon came to evening. Read today's Paradise City has undergone earth-shaking changes. New forces have invaded and eliminated the old force, the Paradise Army. This is worthy of cheering and celebration for ordinary people. But after cheering and celebrating, they became numb again, because they didn't know how this new force would treat them. It might still be the same endless oppression as before. Luo Ren ordered the original residents of Paradise City to be gathered in the square. He glanced at the haggard and skinny residents. From their eyes, he only saw numbness, no hope, and no enthusiasm for life. This was worse than that of Muchhang village. The villagers who were bullied by Wang Hu were even more serious. Although these people were not all glamorous before the end of the world, they were still people with complete personalities. But now they are kept in captivity like domestic animals, or even worse than domestic animals. This will make anyone feel sad. Luo Ren held Luo Shan's shoulders and whispered a few words in his ear, and then Luo Shan led a group of people away. Immediately afterwards, Luo Ren looked at the people and announced loudly, "From now on, Paradise City will no longer exist, and you will be included in the base from now on." After speaking, Luo Ren carefully observed the changes in people's expressions. What he saw most was a flash of fear, and no one showed any yearning for the new environment. Luo Ren smiled softly, making himself look more kind, and said, "You don't have to be afraid. I'm not Long Kai, and the base is not Paradise City. In this way, I will give you 3 meeting gifts, so you will know the difference between me and Long Kai." The people looked at each other and couldn't help but feel strange. This young man in front of them wanted to give them gifts. However, what kind of gift would it be? Many of them thought in their hearts that it would not be something good. About 10 minutes later, Luo Shan came back. He leaned into Luo Ren's ear and whispered, "It's all done." Luo Ren nodded and said, "Bring them here." Luo Shan turned back and then led the escort team to the square with a group of women. These women had messy hair and eyes. They were wearing clothes pulled from the corpses of the dead heavenly army, which was not suitable for most women. It fits too well and looks very inconsistent. When the male people in the square saw these women, their dull eyes glowed again, their numb hearts began to fluctuate, their bodies were trembling with excitement, and 2 lines of hot tears slowly slid down their cheeks. Those women were rescued from the happy cave by Luo Ren's order. When they saw the man in the square, they also shed tears. They were extremely excited. The guards did not stop them. They searched with their eyes to find the familiar person, and then rushed towards each other quickly, hugging each other and crying bitterly, making the clothes soaked with tears. This scene lasted for nearly half an hour, and then gradually quieted down. People who reacted knelt down to Luo Ren and kowtowed in thanks. They are now completely sure that Luo Ren is not Long Kai, but their savior. Okay. Luo Ren pressed his hand, signaling for silence, and said, "This is the first meeting gift for you to reunite." After saying that, Luo Ren said to Luo, "Hey, do it." People can't help but wonder, what will this second meeting gift be? After a while, Luo He led 300 escorts to move out all the food from the Paradise City granary, then set up a large iron pot in the square to cook rice and stir-fry vegetables. "This is the second meeting gift. After you have eaten, I will give you the third meeting gift," Luo Ren said loudly. Seeing the food, the people's eyes were glowing green. They had not eaten enough for several months, and today they could finally eat with confidence. They couldn't help but burst into tears of gratitude to Luo Ren. As for what the third meeting gift was for them, said no one is paying attention anymore. The fire was lit, and after a while, the aroma of the food spread throughout the square, and the crowd began to get restless, with many people drooling uncontrollably. Finally, when the rice was ready, the hungry people couldn't bear it any longer, and rushed towards the big iron pot. The guards had to maintain order before they calmed down and queued up. The civilians who had received the food hurriedly returned to the crowd and squatted down, pinched a small piece with their hands, and put it in their mouths to chew. They felt this wonderful feeling and immediately devoured it without dreaming. Whoa. Some people burst into tears while eating, and their tears dripped into the food, adding to the bitter taste. While these people were eating, Luo Ren had already ordered people to bring up the captured heavenly army soldiers. After they devoured their food, they discovered the kneeling heavenly army soldiers. These heavenly army soldiers have completely lost their former majesty. They dare not look directly at the people and the escorts. They just bend down and lower their heads, glancing at Luo Ren from time to time. They don't know how Luo Ren will deal with them. This kind of unknown fear made their whole bodies tremble. Seeing that the people had put down their bowls and chopsticks, Luo Ren cleared his throat, pointed at the heavenly army soldiers, and said loudly, "You all know these people, and you have seen what they have done, and this third meeting gift, that is, let you judge them and decide their life or death." When the people heard this, they found it inconceivable that the power of trial was handed over to them, until Luo Ren ordered a heavenly army soldier to kneel before them and said, "Start with this person and tell his crimes. Anyone who has done extremely heinous things." The people were shot on the spot. The people reflected that they heard correctly. Luo Ren really gave them the right to judge. Immediately, they looked at the eyes of the heavenly army soldiers, and the flames of anger were burning, as if they were real. One after another, they stepped forward, and pointed out this heavenly army soldier. The evil deeds done by soldiers. After Luo Ren heard this, he realized that what this man had done was enough to kill him with 1,000 swords. He immediately ordered that he be shot on the spot, and then another heavenly army soldier was brought forward. The second heavenly army soldier's legs became weak when he saw the scene just now. He was dragged up. At the same time, a smell emanated from his crotch, and he was so frightened that he became incontinent. In this way, 80% of the nearly 1,000 heavenly army prisoners were sentenced to be shot on the spot. The people's long-held evil spirits were vented, and they respected Luo Ren as if they were the savior. After all this tossing, it was late at night. Luo Ren ordered to rest on the spot and head to the valley tomorrow, returning to the base with the 10,000 people in the valley point on top of the cliff point. Luo Ren looked at the Milky Way in the sky and sighed. It's so beautiful. This disaster has turned the world into a purgatory, but made the night sky more beautiful. I really don't know where this virus came from and what it will develop into. Luo Ren is full of expectations, but he is also afraid. Giggle. Just as Luo Ren was sighing, the crow of a rooster came from behind him. He stood up suddenly and turned around to take a closer look. He was startled. In front of him was a big rooster, 1 meter high, with a beak 1 finger long and 2 roosters. The claws on chicken feet are as sharp as knives. Is this a chicken? Luo Ren was confused and looked at it carefully, but the big cock didn't want him to talk nonsense. Giggle. The big rooster looked up to the sky and crowded and flapped its wings, kicking up dust on the ground and blowing it towards Luo Ren, eroding Luo Ren's sight. Then it flew more than 10 meters into the air and then swooped down towards Luo Ren. Holy shit, I'm a sperm. Luo Ren felt empty in his heart. He finally rested for a while, admired the moon, and felt the coolness of the breeze. Unexpectedly, he was unexpectedly attacked by a chicken, which made him angry. Chapter 40. Animals can also evolve. Luo Ren's anger burst out from the bottom of his heart, and rushed to the top of his head. Facing the rooster that was swooping down quickly, he dodged and then, seeing the right moment, grabbed the rooster's wings and hit it hard. The rooster screamed in pain, but Luo Ren's strength was too strong for it to break free. After hitting it for nearly 3 minutes, the rooster felt dizzy. Then Luo Ren grabbed its neck with one hand, and then his other hand quickly vibrated out a residual image, and in a few seconds, he plucked the hair on the rooster's neck. He took out a military knife and cut the rooster's neck with a single stroke. His technique was as professional as that of an aunt who killed chickens in the vegetable market. The chicken blood was surging, and Luo Ren felt it was a pity. If only there was a container. This chicken blood was a great tonic. The blood flowed all over the ground, and the rooster finally stopped breathing. A pair of wings fell weakly, and a pair of chicken claws rolled into a ball. Finally, it stopped struggling. This beast is really strong. Sweat broke out on Luo Ren's forehead. He threw the rooster's body to the ground. He looked at the rooster, which was as big as a pig, and couldn't help thinking, what kind of chicken is this? It's so big. This is a level 1 evolved animal, a rooster. As soon as he finished speaking, the system's voice sounded, answering his doubts. Hearing this, Luo Ren asked in surprise, do all animals evolve? Yes. These 2 short words answered Luo Ren's question very clearly. Luo Ren was even more shocked. If all animals evolve, wouldn't it be more difficult for humans to survive? Just now, the fighting power of the rooster was stronger than that of an ordinary adult man. If it was a powerful beast like a jackal, tiger, or leopard, how much more ferocious it would be after evolution. Moreover, the number of animals is much greater than that of humans. In this way, the threat of evolved animals is no less than that of zombies, or even greater, which makes Luo Ren feel more urgent. Looking at the corpse of the rooster on the ground, Luo Ren's eyes rolled. There are evolution crystals in the heads of evolved zombies, and there should be evolution crystals in evolved animals too. Thinking of this, Luo Ren split the head of the rooster with a knife, and a milky white evolution crystal fell out, which looked very beautiful under the moonlight. He was not wrong. Evolution crystals would also be generated in the heads of evolved animals. He picked up the evolution crystal, then wiped the chicken blood attached to the evolution crystal with his sleeve, and then swallowed it in one gulp, but just as he reached his mouth, his hand suddenly stopped. System: will the blood of evolved animals turn into zombies if eaten? Only by swallowing the flesh and blood of zombies can you are infected with the virus, but not by evolving animals, and the flesh and blood of evolved animals are a great benefit to the human body after eating. With the system's words, Luo Ren was relieved, and then swallowed the evolution crystal in one gulp. This was the 8th evolution crystal he had swallowed, and after entering the mouth, it still turned into a warm current, and rushed into the stomach, and then only felt a slight pain, which lasted only a short 10 seconds. After taking the evolution crystal this time, Luo Ren only felt more energetic. The physical strength consumed in the battle with the big rooster just now was completely restored, but his physical fitness did not improve much. Faced with this situation, he couldn't help but ask, "System, why is the effect of the evolution crystal getting weaker and weaker?" The host has reached the limit of a level 1 evolver, and cannot use a level 1 evolution crystal to enhance physical fitness. If you want to become a level 2 evolver, you need to use a level 2 evolution crystal. Point tip: kill a level 2 evolution zombie or a level 2 evolution animal to obtain a level 2 evolution crystal. So, after the first level of evolution, there is the second level. After the second level, there is the third level, and so on. There are the fourth and fifth levels. And zombies and evolved animals are also the same: first level, second level, third level. Luo Ren looked up at the bright moon in the sky and muttered to himself, "If possible, I would rather give up evolving to the second level and just hope that zombies and evolved animals will stay at the first level forever." Then he shook his head again. What a pity. This is just a beautiful wish. However, since I have now reached the limit of a level 1 evolver, the next evolution crystals I get will be given to Luo Shan and Luo Hei, so that the combat effectiveness of the guards can be improved, so that they can face evolved zombies and evolved animals more easily. Without thinking too much, Luo Ren carried the body of the big rooster on his back and climbed down the cliff along the vines. At this time, most people had fallen asleep, and only the guards on duty were still working hard. When they saw Luo Ren carrying a chicken as big as a pig, they all widened their eyes and opened their mouths, so wide that they could stuff a goose egg. "Sir, are you going hunting? Is that a chicken or a golden eagle? It's so big," someone said in surprise. Come here." Luo Ren called the team over, handed the chicken to them, and said, "We'll have supper tonight." The guards on duty were very happy after hearing this. Although they were not sure whether it was a chicken, it must be very fragrant if it was made into a roasted chicken. After a while, the aroma of barbecue spread, and the people who were originally asleep were awakened. They saw a large bonfire in the square, and a giant chicken was on the bonfire. The people who woke up saw this scene, and said that it was not a human being, and they actually poisoned in the middle of the night. At the same time, they were secretly swallowing their saliva. Luo Ren looked at the big roasted chicken with a burnt brown skin, swallowed his saliva greedily, and then tore off a chicken wing that was bigger than an arm and ate it. It was so fragrant. The guards on duty couldn't help it, and tore the chicken, and ate it. Soon, Luo Shan, Luo Hei and others, who were awakened by the fragrance, came over following the smell, and looked at Luo Ren pitifully. Luo Ren took a big bite of chicken, and couldn't speak clearly. However, Luo Shan and the others grasped the key words, understood what Luo Ren meant, and immediately started eating without ceremony. When ordinary people saw this scene, their mouths were watering with greed. They wondered if Luo Ren deliberately fed them in the evening, and then ate roast chicken by himself in the middle of the night. As the guards and Luo Ren devoured the enlarged version of the roast chicken, they were quickly devoured, leaving only bones as thick as pig bones on the ground. Luo Ren sucked his fingers and burped comfortably. Cool. The soldiers of the escort also had a great time, and their faces were all red. Among them, Luo Hei, who ate the most, was sweating profusely and took off his shirt because of the heat. At this time, blood suddenly appeared on his nose. Everyone was shocked. Could it be that the chicken is poisonous, but others are fine? Luo Hei couldn't help but cast his eyes on Luo Ren. Luo Ren immediately gave him a reassuring look and said, "Don't worry, you are weak, and you are not getting enough. Go run a few laps and burn off the excess energy." Hearing this, Luo breathed a sigh of relief. He thought he was going to die. After eating roast chicken, he stuffed his nose with 2 pieces of paper to stop the nosebleed, and then started running along the square. Just like that, everyone else went to bed. Luo was still running, and then everyone else woke up, and Luo was still running. Luo Ren couldn't help but sigh. It's really helpful. The night passed and dawn broke. After breakfast, Luo finally stopped. Exhausted from running all night, he lay down on his back with his legs still intact, breathing heavily. At this time, it was time to set off for Daughter Valley. Luo Ren came to Luo who was collapsed on the ground, and said with a smile, "Can you still walk?" Luo panted and said, "Report, sir, no problem." As he said this, he wanted to get up, but unfortunately after running all night, he was already exhausted, and there was no extra strength anywhere in his body. Luo Ren smiled and shook his head and said, "Don't hold on, you can take my car." Chapter 41 Luo Ren and -039's methods. With the escort in front and 30,000 people behind, they left Paradise City in a mighty manner and set off for Daughter Valley. Although the people didn't know where Luo Ren was taking them, they believed that Luo Ren would bring them a good life. So they followed him spontaneously without being escorted by the escort. Search TWKAN on Google after about 2 hours. Everything was safe on the road, and we finally arrived at Nvnu Valley. The female soldiers guarding the city were shocked at first when they saw the dark crowd, and then they saw that the leader was Luo Ren. They couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief and immediately let go of the city gate. Suan Tang came after hearing the news and was slightly surprised to see so many people. She immediately understood that Luo Ren had really destroyed Paradise City. This made her very excited. She was grateful that she could meet such a powerful and non-cruel person as Luo Ren. Taking a break in the valley, Luo Ren and Suan Tang mobilized the valley's population of more than 10,000 people. Although Suan Tang agreed to the valley joining the base, the valley was different from Paradise City. She did not have the final say alone and had to seek public opinion. In the square, more than 10,000 people gathered, and Suan Tang said loudly, "We have called everyone here for one thing. We have found a better shelter, so please pack your bags as soon as possible, and we will set off immediately." What? The owner of the valley means to give up his daughter's valley. Daughter Valley is so good, why should we leave? Hasn't that Ufeni been repulsed? Yes. Is there any better shelter than Daughter Valley? As soon as these words came out, the people below were in an uproar. "Everyone, be quiet and listen to me. I have personally been to the place we are about to go. It is much safer than Daughter Valley, and the resources are also very abundant." And Tang yelled, but her voice alone could not cover the voices of more than 10,000 people, so no one heard her, and the crowd was still very noisy. Bang bang. At this moment, 2 gunshots suddenly rang out, starting Suan Tang. She turned around and saw that it was Luo Ren who fired 2 shots into the sky. It was these 2 shots that made the crowd quiet down, and they all turned their attention to Luo Ren. Benevolence. Luo Ren looked at Suan Tang and said, "Go on." Suan Tang breathed a sigh of relief and then said, "Please believe that where we are going, there will be absolutely no brutal rule. Everyone there will be the same as here. Farming will be rewarded, and efforts will be rewarded. All you need to do is abide by the local rules. That's it." The residents of Nvnu Valley all believed in Suan Tang. After some thinking, most of them agreed to go. Only a few thorns were still there to fight against him. Since going there is the same as Daughter Valley, why should we go there? Yes, we live so well here. There is no need to waste energy moving to another place. What if we encounter zombies on the way? What these people said made those who originally agreed to start to back off. Yes, what if you encounter zombies on the way? A cold light flashed in Luo Ren's eyes, and he clapped his hands. Swish swish. Neat footsteps sounded, and groups of escort soldiers walked onto the square. Kill the Shouts were although these residents of Daughter Valley had seen death and faced zombies, they were very courageous, but they still felt from the bottom of their hearts when facing the murderous guards. Feel loud. Luo Ren walked up to Suan Tong, glanced at the residents, and said loudly, if you encounter zombies on the way, someone will protect you. Are there any other questions? Under the strong military deterrence, the number of thorns suddenly decreased, but there were still a few people who were ungrateful. HMPH. Are you forcing us? The safe refuge you mentioned, Lord Su, should be where this army is. Didn't you say that there is no brutal rule in that place? But in the Daughter Valley, they dare to using coercion. This, Luo Ren followed the voice and found Thorn hiding in the crowd and just stared at him. After he finished speaking, Luo Ren said, are you done? Under Luo Ren's gaze, the man was too scared to look directly at Luo Ren, but he still said harshly, so what if it's over? Luo Ren said indifferently, tied. Immediately, 2 guardsmen rushed into the crowd and tied the man out. The man immediately shouted, what are you going to do? Are you going to kill me if I object? Let me tell you, if you kill one of me, there will still be thousands of me. But he said this wrong. After he was kidnapped, other residents looked at me, and I looked at you, but no one dared to say a word. Luo Ren immediately said, I know what you are thinking in your hearts now. You think that I'm unreasonable and intolerable. Life under my command will definitely be very difficult, right? Then you are totally wrong. Whether you can tolerate someone or not depends on the time. If that person shakes the people's hearts at this time, I would be very generous if I don't kill him. You Valley Master Su said that when you go to the base, it will be the same as in the Daughter Valley. Farming will result in harvest, and efforts will be rewarded. As long as you abide by the rules of the base, I can confirm these words with you again, and guarantee that there is absolutely no participation. Fake. Even, as long as you have enough ability, you can also become the management of the base and work with me to make the base a beautiful place. Whether you believe it or not is your own business. If you don't want to come with me, I won't force you. However, I want to remind you that Hu Cheng and Hu Fei were just beaten away. It doesn't mean that he won't come back after we leave. I don't know if Hu Fei, in his rage, will do something like massacre in the city. Of course, it is also possible that Hu Fei will take you to Haching, and at that time he will not discuss it with you like I did. Luo Ren's words moved everyone, and they looked at each other. As Luo Ren said, Hu Fei is very likely to return. At that time, there will be no army to protect Daughter Valley, and they will inevitably become lambs to be slaughtered. Fish on the chopping board, life and death are all in Hu Fei's mind. Weighing the pros and cons, they no longer entangled in whether it was true or not. Luo Ren could discuss it with them instead of pointing a gun at their heads without saying a word and forcing them to move to a new shelter. It seems that it will not be too bad, so they all agreed to join the base. Suan Tong looked at Luo Ren and thought, this guy really has some tricks and is good at talking, but he is not talking nonsense. At this time, Luo Ren suddenly turned his head and looked over. The two of them looked at each other, and Suan Tong's face flushed. She quickly turned her head away. Luo Ren didn't care why Suan Tong blushed, but just said, the next thing is up to you. We will set off in an hour. You quickly ask them to pack their luggage and carry light items. Heavy items such as furniture are not needed. The base will provide these things. Yeah. Suan Tong nodded slightly. After Luo Ren left, Suan Tong said to the residents, don't worry, I will never lie to you. You can go back and pack your luggage now. Just bring light items. We will set off in an hour. Suan Tong still had a certain prestige. Her words also calmed the residents down, and they immediately went home to pack their bags. An hour was not a long time. Luo Ren just drank 2 pots of tea and ate a few snacks. More than 40,000 people gathered and went out of the city gate, heading towards the base. Although the residents of Daughter Valley were very reluctant and didn't know what the place they were going to was like, they had no choice but to go on the road together in order to survive. Unlike the residents of Daughter Valley, the people from Paradise City were full of hope and yearning for the base. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. we cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42, Mid-Road Crisis. The team of more than 40,000 people is very large. Even if people are close to each other, the length reaches an astonishing more than 700 meters. Such a team is extremely difficult for the escort army with only more than 700 people left. After attacking Paradise City, there is no protection, but fortunately, there are more than 2,000 female soldiers in Vnu Valley, and they are under Suan Tong's orders, which reduces a lot of pressure on the guards. But even with the assistance of the female soldiers from Daughter Valley, it would be very dangerous if they were attacked by zombies or ambushed by surviving humans on the way. Luo Ren did not take a car this time. All vehicles were used to haul luggage, trying to reduce the burden on the people and increase the marching speed point at this time. Luo Ren was at the front of the team, and with him was Suan Tong. Brother Ren, why don't you move in batches? The target of 40,000 people moving at the same time is too big, and the capacity of the base may not be enough. Suan Tong said while walking. If we move in batches, if Hu Fei makes a sneak attack, the guards will not be able to arrive in time, and the losses will be even greater. As for the capacity of the base, Luo Ren said in a very confident tone, don't worry, I have my own way. Suan Tong was confused. What could be done? The time required to build that kind of concrete city wall was not calculated in days, but in months. If the length was very long, it would even have to be calculated in years. Moreover, this was still a modern building. Facilities and preparations are fully adequate with sufficient materials. In other words, even if it is not built according to the standards of the existing city wall and a simple extended city wall is built, it will be enough, as long as it can defend against ordinary zombies. But even so, where is the length and width? Although Luo Ren's base is rich, there is no seeing how much construction equipment and building materials there were. It took a lot of time just to collect the materials. Suan Tong really didn't know where Luo Ren's confidence came from, so she could only think to herself that he would have a solution. Seeing Suan Tong's confused look, Luo Ren didn't explain too much. He just smiled and looked away. But at this moment, his pupils suddenly condensed. At the same time, the soldiers and civilians behind him also stopped and sounded one after another, because of a scream of fear. Zombies, run. Quickly. The crowd began to panic, but was quickly calmed down by the joint efforts of the escorts and female soldiers. In front of the team, 10 zombies suddenly appeared. 3 of them were huge, obviously power-evolved zombies, while the other 7 were on all fours, thin and small, and turned out to be speed-evolved zombies. This was what frightened the crowd. Reason for panic point. Although there are only 10 zombies, they are all real evolved zombies, and their deterrence is no less than that of thousands of zombies. Point roar. 3 power-evolved zombies roared to the sky at the same time, and then dense footsteps came from both sides of the team, and then they saw a dark group of zombies attacking the team. Point at the same time, gunfire suddenly rang out from behind the team. However, it was not the guards who shot and killed the zombies, but an enemy attack. A guard soldier ran to report, "Sir, our army was attacked by Hu Fei's army." Luo Ren clenched his fist suddenly. What a Hu city? What a big deal. I think these zombies must be related to them. Suan Tong heard the soldier's words clearly, and her expression changed drastically. She looked at Luo Ren and asked hurriedly, what should I do? Hiss. Luo Ren took a deep breath, then pulled out his saber, walked step by step towards the evolved zombies in front, and said at the same time, leave these 10 beasts to me, and leave the rest of the ordinary zombies and Hu Fei to you. There was no other way at this moment. Suan Tong thought of Luo Ren's strength, and did not stop him. She immediately went to direct the female soldiers to deal with the zombies. When the 10 evolved zombies saw a small human walking towards them alone, they opened their mouths one after another, revealing teeth covered with mincemeat, and the fishy smell hit their faces. Sudden. One of the power-evolved zombies moved and rushed towards Luo Ren with long strides, like a humanoid tank. Luo Ren's speed suddenly exploded. In less than 3 seconds, he jumped 3 meters away from 100 meters away. He held the saber in both hands, and raised it high above his head. Under the sun, a cold light flashed past. Clang. like being chopped on pig iron. Sparks flew everywhere, and then, the head of the power-evolved zombie was split into two, and the huge body fell to the ground, stirring up a burst of dust on the ground. Seeing this scene in the eyes of all the people, they were all stunned and shocked. Is this still a human being? The companions were killed, and the remaining 9 evolved zombies couldn't stand it any longer, and attacked Luo Ren at the same time. A speed evolved zombie rushed from the front. Luo Ren leaned up to dodge, and then took the opportunity to grab the foot of the incoming zombie and throw it away. Immediately afterwards, another evolved zombie rushed from the left. Luo Ren was dangerously close to dodge, and then kick the zombie away. At the same time, 4 more speed type zombies were attacking from all directions. They could not move forward or retreat, and their left and right sides were also blocked. Faced with this situation, Luo Ren's mind raced, and he immediately bent his legs slightly, and his thighs became numb. With great strength, he jumped up with a thud, leaving his forehead stunned. The corpse jumped into the air, and then Luo Ren fell rapidly. He stepped on the heads of 2 evolved zombies with his feet, and imprinted them on the ground. The defense of the speed type evolved zombies was far inferior to that of the power type zombies. Luo Ren's head was directly crushed by Luo Ren, and his brains were shattered. Luo Ren was splashed with blood. Zombies have no fear in their hearts, and their companions are being killed one after another, but they are indifferent. In their eyes, they only know that the human being in front of them is so powerful, and his flesh and blood must taste better than that of ordinary people. Without giving Luo Ren any chance to breathe, 2 power zombies roared and rushed over. The blood-stained Luo Ren was like a god of war descending from heaven. He was no longer afraid. He rushed out with his speed bursting to the extreme. In the blink of an eye, he arrived behind one of the power zombies, jumped up, and kicked the back of the power zombie with both feet. Like 1,000 pounds pressing down on the top, the power type evolution zombie fell immediately. Luo Ren raised his knife and cut off its head from its body. Then another power zombie turned its huge fist and smashed towards Luo Ren. Luo Ren quickly retreated to avoid it. The fist hit the decapitated evolution zombie's body. The body was immediately sunken where it was hit. A large amount of thick dark red blood mixed with internal organs spurted out from the neck, 100 meters away. The scene was very spectacular. Luo Ren took the opportunity, holding the knife with both hands, jumped high, and chopped down the head of the power type evolution zombie. Clang! Sparks flew, the blade of the saber broke, and the head of the power type evolution zombie was chopped open, and it was immediately out of breath. Swish! A strong wind came from behind him, and Luo Ren immediately dodged it with a backflip, then stabbed the attacking speed type zombie to the ground, and then stepped on its head to explode. At this time, Luo Ren's physical strength was seriously consumed, but there were still 3 speed type evolution zombies left. They were extremely eager for Luo Ren's flesh and blood, and rushed towards him quickly. Luo Ren gathered his strength, and pulled out the saber. At this time, the saber was full of gaps and tattered, and it no longer had much killing power. He threw the saber out, and the attacking zombies easily dodged it, but it made their speed freeze. It was in this less than a second that Luo Ren reached for his waist and pulled out his pistol. Point bang bang bang. 3 gunshots were fired, and 3 bullets hit the heads of 3 speed type evolved zombies. They did not have the defense of the strength type evolved zombies, and their heads were directly pierced by the power of the bullets. They fell to the ground, deader than dead. Blowing the smoke from the muzzle, Luo Ren said, "Fortunately, I didn't miss." After saying that, his eyes went dark, and he could no longer hold on and fell down. Chapter 43. A big loss. Brother Ren. Suan Tang had been observing this sight. Seeing Luo Ren fainted, she rushed up and hugged Luo Ren to prevent him from having close contact with the ground. "Brother Ren, are you okay?" Suan Tang asked anxiously. Luo Ren is the backbone of everyone. If he gets into trouble, it will be a big deal. At the same time, the gunfire behind the team also extinguished. The ambushing Hucheng army had been repelled. The guards were pulled out to assist the female soldiers in dealing with the zombies. Soon the ordinary zombies were eliminated. Luo Shan, Luo He and others ran over anxiously. Seeing Luo Ren lying motionless in Suan Tang's arms and covered in blood, they couldn't help but be extremely anxious. thinking that Luo Ren had an accident. "Commander, Commander, Commander, are you okay?" they shouted anxiously. Suan Tong stretched out his finger and put it under Luo Ren's nose to detect his breath. At this time, Luo Ren's eyes suddenly opened, which scared Suan Tong. "I'm fine, just a little hungry. Does anyone have food?" After a fierce battle, Luo Ren's physical strength was exhausted. He became hungry on the spot and needed to replenish his energy urgently. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief when Luo Ren came back to life. Luo Shan and Luo He quickly took out a few pieces of compressed dry food, tore open the package, and handed them over. Luo Ren took the compressed dry food and finished it in a few bites. The food was quickly converted into energy to replenish the consumed physical strength point in less than 3 minutes. Luo Ren's strength was restored a little. At least he could walk alone, but feeling the warmth behind his head and the body fragrance, he decided to lie down for a while. Suan Tong didn't have the ability to read minds, so she didn't know Luo Ren's thoughts. She just thought he was exhausted and let him lie in her arms. Luo Ren didn't delay the business. He looked at Luo Shan, Luo He and others, and then glanced at the bodies of the evolved zombies. Several people immediately understood Luo Ren's meaning and walked towards the corpse of the evolution zombie with sabers in hand. Their goal was clear, which was the evolution crystal in the head of the evolution zombie. Suan Tong saw the actions of several people. When she saw the familiar milky white crystals being put away by Luo Shan and others, the previous thought came to her mind again. Could it be that Brother Ren's strength is really related to those small crystals? Luo Ren knew that with Suan Tong's intelligence, she would definitely be able to guess something, but Luo Ren was not worried. Even if Suan Tong guessed that the evolution crystals could make people stronger, she had to have them. Even if she had them, she had to dare to eat them. Not everyone had a systematic explanation and knew that the process of strengthening the body with evolution crystals was only a little bit painful. After packing up, the large army continued on the road without stopping. Luo Ren got on his own car with the help of Suan Tong. After a bloody battle, the mighty team of 40,000 people was more or less reduced, and the length was reduced from more than 700 meters to more than 600 meters. The loss this time was really not small. The rest of the journey was smooth, except for some ordinary zombies that wandered around, which were dealt with in 3 or 5 moves, causing no losses or obstacles to the team. It was evening, and the sun was about to set, but the clouds on the side were holding it up and pulling it, preventing it from falling. Because of the excess of force, Yundua's face turned red. Under this red, a city stood, like a city on the horizon, beautiful and peaceful. The soldiers on the city wall stood straight, looking out of the city, alert to the enemy, and looking forward to seeing old friends who were out. At this time, under the afterglow of the sun, a huge team came into view. The soldier's eyes condensed, and he became alert, while his comrade next to him picked up the telescope and looked. A familiar figure came into view, and the soldier couldn't help getting excited. It's the commander. The soldier, who was originally on guard, heard the shouts of his comrades and became excited. The team of tens of thousands of people approached the city, facing the magnificent city in front of them. Not only the people from Daughter Valley were stunned, but also the female soldiers were greatly shocked. However, even though they were shocked, they still missed the beauty of Daughter Valley. The people brought from Paradise City were full of longing and yearning, and they wanted to rush into the city immediately to see what the scene inside was like. As for the appearance of Paradise City, they remembered it deeply, but there was no beauty, only pain. The city gate was wide open, and Saudi brought many residents to welcome the commander back to the city. The residents saw that so many survivors were brought back. Some were happy, while others were sad. The happy people knew that there were so many survivors, while the sad people were thinking about how many houses they had to build. The team entered the base, and Luo Ren ordered Saudi to count the population, and then brought the guards to the base barracks. The guards were arranged neatly, their postures were still upright, but their number was reduced by half. Hu Cheng Hu Fei, I will make you pay the price. Luo Ren clenched his fists, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. System calls up the information panel. Luo Ren muttered in his heart. The host called up the base information. A light screen appeared in front of Luo Ren, and he looked at the number of guards and the population of the base. Base soldiers. 478 people base military and civilians. 44,082 people. There are only more than 44,000 people, and thousands of civilians died in this ambush. Luo Ren had a flame burning in his heart. That was the flame of anger. It was all the work of Hu Fei, the bastard. Originally, 40,000 people were brought back to the base, enough to reach the upgrade number, but because of his ambush, 6,000 to 7,000 people were lost, which made Luo Ren very unhappy, and he was determined to cut Hu Fei into pieces. Leaving the base barracks, Luo Ren came to the military area to replenish his troops. As long as he had points, his troops would continue to flow. He stretched his back and looked up at the sky. The sun had completely set at this time, and only the moon brought a ray of light to the outside world. Luo Ren came to the residential area. Saudi Arabia and other resident management personnel were still registering. The residents brought from Paradise City saw that there were no complaints inside the base, but they were very happy. This was much better than Paradise City. However, the residents from Daughter Valley were not like this. They complained, "The space here is too small. There are so many of us. It's so crowded. Daughter Valley is better." Yes, such a small city, so many people must be crowded. Luo Ren shook his head. It was really human nature. These complaining people were nothing more than bullying the weak and fearing the strong. If they were under Hu Fei's rule, they would probably not even dare to fart. Luo Ren really wanted these people to experience the jurisdiction of Paradise City, experience not being treated as human beings, 2 meals a day of thin porridge that was not even enough to stand up, and being beaten from time to time. However, he couldn't do that. The base was not Paradise City, and he was not Long Kai. As long as these people followed the rules of the base and didn't make trouble, they could complain. When the sun rose tomorrow, he would expand the base. At that time, facing such a miracle, let's see how they could complain. No longer caring about these people, Luo Ren returned to the mobile base, cleaned himself up, and then lay down on his warm little bed and fell asleep. Only in the base could he sleep peacefully. Chapter 44. Base Expansion and Strengthening. The next day, early morning read. Luo Ren was woken up by the noisy sound outside the house. When he walked out of the mobile base, he saw people lying and sitting on the ground. There was not enough room and space, so it was so crowded that no one was on the ground. Fortunately, it didn't rain last night. Otherwise, there would be tens of thousands of drowned rats. The sharp-eyed people saw Luo Ren coming out. Instead of directly expressing their dissatisfaction, they complained to the people around them. "You know, the ground is so hard that my whole body hurts. No, I was hit by a stone when I turned over. It hurt me for half the night." "What do you mean? I didn't sleep all night. I don't know whose feet it is. The smell is so irritating to my eyes." "Hey, are you talking about me? Do you think I thought I walked all day yesterday and there is no place to wash my feet here? What can I do?" These complaints were nothing more than another way of expressing their dissatisfaction to Luo Ren. Luo Ren did not say much, but walked towards the city wall. Seeing Luo Ren's unconcerned look, those people immediately stopped complaining. They looked at Luo Ren's back and opened their mouths without making any sound. When he came to the city wall, Luo Ren looked around and immediately unfolded the map. The entire city appeared in front of his eyes. He did not choose to recycle the existing city wall, but made a new plan. The north wall was extended by 1 kilometer on each side. The east and west sides of the city continue to extend for 3 kilometers to the south, and then continue to the south city wall. This creates a large square inside, and a small square next to the north line. Luo Ren then put gates on the 3 sides of the inner city, east, west, and south, so that people in the inner city could easily access all parts of the outer city. The layout of the inner city remains unchanged, while the outer city is divided into east and west areas. The west area is a residential area used to house people brought back from Paradise City and Daughter Valley, while the east area is divided into the first and second areas. The first area mainly focuses on greenhouse cultivation and livestock breeding. Because District 2 encompasses a small river, Luo Ren decided to dig a pond and divert river water into it for aquaculture. At the same time, houses could be built in areas that were not flooded for living, and greenhouses could be built to grow crops. After planning everything, Luo Ren immediately chose to build it. After a burst of dazzling white light, a city wall stretching for 3 kilometers suddenly appeared. At the same time, 2 more city gates suddenly appeared on the east and west sides of the original city wall. The noisy crowd saw the sudden appearance of the city gate. There was silence for a moment, and some boldly walked out of the city gate. When they saw the scene outside, they suddenly froze. More people walked out of the city gate, each one stunned by the scene in front of them. Am I dreaming? Oh, why are you pinching me? Let me verify whether this is a dream or not. You pinch yourself to verify. Why are you pinching me? While people were talking about it, a few base residents carrying hose looked at them like country bumpkins. One of them said, "This is a miracle from the commander. There is nothing to be surprised about." As soon as these words came out, the crowd immediately exploded. They looked at Luo Ren on the city wall with an incredible expression. Is this really what Luo Ren did? With just a burst of white light in just a few seconds, Luo Ren actually built such a large project. This is simply unbelievable. It is definitely not an exaggeration for the resident to call it a miracle. The residents from Paradise City trusted Luo Ren from the bottom of their hearts. Now that they saw such a magical method, they were even more convinced. They immediately knelt down towards Luo Ren, their faces full of reverence, and they knelt down in a very pious manner. Luo Ren thought to himself, this posture is to enshrine me. Although the residents from Daughter Valley were not as exaggerated as kneeling down, they also stopped complaining and looked at Luo Ren with a little more respect. After the construction of the city wall was completed, Luo Ren summoned Shashao and the construction supervisor Ko Mu. He first said to Ko Mu, "My general concept is that the new city is divided into east and west districts. The west district is used to accommodate new residents, and the east district is divided into 2. Second, build a canteen for aquaculture in areas with rivers and agricultural production or residential areas with no water." Ko Mu nodded from time to time, and after Luo Ren finished speaking, he replied seriously, "I understand. I will definitely complete the mission of Sir." Yes. Luo Ren nodded, then looked at Saudi Arabia and said, "You are responsible for settling the new residents. House construction takes time. You can temporarily set up tents to live in. By the way, you must also organize them to reclaim the wasteland. We cannot let them they are idle." Saudi said, "Yes, Luo." Ren thought for a while and then said, "By the way, is the aquaculture expert Ko Ma still assisting in agricultural planting? You can arrange it for him and let him receive technical training first. After the aquaculture base is completed, he can directly get on the job and improve efficiency." Saudi responded, "Sir, you have thought carefully. I understand." After the matter was clearly explained, Shashao and Ko Mu quickly started planning. 3 days have passed, and the construction of the new city has gone very smoothly, and the new arrivals have also been mobilized, making the base look more prosperous and full of vitality. Mobile base. Luo Ren summoned Luoshan, Luo He and Luo Jaluoli. The 4 people arrived quickly and stood in a row in front of Luo Ren. Luo Ren took out 8 evolutionary crystals from his pocket, handed 2 to each of them, and said, "Do you know why I became so strong? It's because of the evolutionary crystals in your hands. No matter how strong I'm alone, strength is also very limited, so I have to make you all stronger. Now the number of evolution crystals is limited, and you are my right-hand man, so I will give it to you to use first. As for others, you can hunt evolved zombies to get more evolution crystals later. Let's talk." After listening to what Luo Ren said, the 4 people in Luoshan were very excited. They felt that the evolutionary crystals in their hands became very hot. Luo Ren's power was obvious to all, and no one wanted to have such a powerful power. And now, Luo Ren gave them this opportunity. Luo Ren walked to the door and said to the guard, "Don't let anyone in." Immediately, he closed the door tightly, looked at the 4 people in Luoshan, and said, "The method of using the evolutionary crystal is very simple. Just swallow it. However, the process of strengthening the body will be painful. You have to be mentally prepared." The 4 people nodded one after another, and couldn't wait to swallow the evolutionary crystal in their hands. As for the little pain, the men, as long as they can become stronger, they can bear it every minute. Luo Ren said, okay, I won't say any more. Let's start getting stronger. The four of them were waiting for these words and immediately swallowed 2 evolutionary crystals into their mouths at the same time. Just like Luo Ren swallowed the evolutionary crystals for the first time, the crystal entrance turned into fluid and slid into his belly, and he felt warm all over his body. It was quite comfortable, and they looked at each other. Luo Ren counted silently in his heart. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 seconds. The 4 people who were quite comfortable one moment were all red, the veins on their foreheads were bulging, their faces were distorted due to severe pain, and their teeth were clenching, but they were not like Luo Ren. They were still rolling on the ground, but they were holding hands with each other and trying not to make a sound. This willpower was much stronger than Luo Ren's. Under Luo Ren's gaze, 6 minutes passed. The faces of the 5 people in Luotian gradually returned to calmness. At the same time, a stench spread. Luo Ren pinched his nose and said, "Follow me." After saying that, he rushed out of the door and ran far away. Chapter 45. The first outsider to join the guard. Part 1. Luo Shan and the other 4 people followed Luo Ren closely and ran towards the river in the outer city. The smell was so bad that the residents along the way couldn't help but cover their noses. Red. I'll go. What's going on? Did the toilet explode, or did it fall into the toilet? I saw it clearly. The ones who ran past were the chief and captains Luo Shan, Luo Hei and Luo G. Luo Li. How dare you fall into the toilet with these guys? You're finished. Ah, I was wrong. Woo woo woo. Hearing the residents talking along the way, Luo Ren muttered, "That's too sloppy. Luo Shan and the others should be allowed to use the evolutionary crystals by the river. After that, they can just jump into the river and there will be no smell. Why bother walking around like this? The face is gone." Suan Tang was wandering around when she suddenly smelled a stench. She covered her nose and looked. It was Luo Ren and Luo Shan. Looking at their backs, Suan Tang rolled her eyes and followed them immediately. Luo Ren and others were very fast, and soon they reached the river. Luo Shan, Luo Hei and others immediately jumped into the river. Splashing water washed by the clear river water, the stench gradually disappears, and fish belly whites emerge from the water. The effect is comparable to that of pesticides. The 4 people went ashore and looked at the white fish belly in the river. Their faces were all blushing, and they scratched their heads in embarrassment. The fish were all poisoned. The man who ate the fish would at least jump away. Luo Ren could only give up the idea of having the fish picked up for a meal. He looked at the 4 people standing side by side and thought, I have to find something. Test their current physical fitness. He looked around and saw a large bluestone half a meter high. He walked forward and hugged the large bluestone. He picked it up with a little force. After weighing it a few times, he estimated that it weighed more than 400 to 500 kilograms. He pointed at Luo Shan and said, "You come first and pick up this big bluestone." Luo Shan stepped forward, hugged the big bluestone with both hands, took a deep breath to hold it, and then exerted force on his waist. The 400 to 500 kilogram big bluestone slowly rose up from the ground. Luo Shan's face turned red, the veins on his arms and forehead were prominent, and his teeth he bit tightly and held his breath tightly, which was far less relaxed than Luo Ren. 400 to 500 pounds was still very difficult for him. Boom. Luo Shan persisted like this for 10 seconds. The bluestone fell from his hand and hit the ground, denting the earthy ground a little. Then Luo Hei stepped forward to test. Like Luo Shan, he was very reluctant and only lasted 10 seconds. Luo Li continued the test, and the test was quickly completed. The 4 of them were all about the same. They were all reluctant to hold a large bluestone of 400 to 500 kilograms, and they could only hold on for 10 seconds at most. Luo Ren estimated in his mind, Luo Shan and the others should be more than twice as powerful as adult men, which is not bad. Next, test the speed. There is no runway here, and you have to go to the barracks training ground, brother. Ren. When he was about to go to the base barracks, someone suddenly stopped Luo Ren. Why is she here? Luo Ren knew it was Suan Tang from the voice, and immediately greeted him with a smile. And Tong, brother. Ren, you are so powerful. That stone weighs more than 500 kilograms at least. I thought you were the only one in the base, brother Ren, but I didn't expect you, Luo Shan Luo Hei, to be so powerful. Didn't you eat the brains of zombies? Milky white crystals, right? Suan Tong ran over, her eyes full of excitement. Luo Ren frowned slightly, thought for a while, then took out an evolution crystal, and said with a smile, yes, you will become stronger if you eat it, but there is a 50% chance of turning into a zombie. And it's the kind of ugly fat powerful zombie. How about you? Do you dare to eat it? Suan Tong was very excited when she heard the answer she wanted, but when she imagined the ugly face and fat body of the giant zombie, she couldn't help but frown slightly and fell into a fierce ideological struggle. Luo Ren looked at her appearance and laughed in his heart. It seemed that he didn't dare to eat it, so as to prevent her from always asking him. However, just when he was thinking this, Suan Tong bit her silver teeth and snatched it away. The evolutionary crystal in Luo Ren's hand was put into his mouth without hesitation. The evolutionary crystal turned into liquid and flowed into her belly. Suan Tong suddenly felt warm and comfortable all over her body. But then, a sharp pain burst out from her body. She felt as if she had been hit hard. She grabbed Luo Ren's arm in a panic and gritted her teeth, creaking. The pain was too much, and Suan Tong couldn't help but cry out, and then bit Luo Ren's arm. Luo Ren felt the pain, but did not move away from his arm. He looked at Suan Tong with complicated eyes, and the murderous intention sometimes emerged and sometimes dissipated. As guards, Luo Shan, Luo He and the others are absolutely loyal to Luo Ren, and will never betray them. The stronger their strength is, the stronger the overall strength of the base will be, so Luo Ren has no worries. But Suan Tong was different. Although she had joined the base, Luo Ren also knew that she had a good character, but after all, she was not a guard, and was not restricted by the system. This made Luo Ren have murderous intentions. Seeing Suan Tong enduring the pain, but refusing to admit defeat, Luo Ren was struggling in his heart between killing and not killing point in this way. 3 minutes passed quickly, and Suan Tong's pain gradually subsided. She slowly opened her eyes and saw that she had bitten Luo Ren's arm to bleed. She quickly apologized. Brother Ren, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Looking at Suan Tong who kept apologizing, Luo Ren finally sighed. The murderous intention in his body completely disappeared, and his serious face turned into a smile. It's okay. I'll just go back and apply some anti-inflammatory medicine. It seems you are lucky and succeeded. But hurry up. Luo Ren covered his nose, took a few steps back, and then pursed his lips towards Zaro. After being reminded, Suan Tong immediately smelled the stench, frowned, and pinched her nose. What's that smell? It's so stinky. Then she felt something sticky on her hands. When she looked at it, she saw that it was not just her arms, but her whole body was covered with sticky black liquid. Luo Ren blocked his ears predictably. Suan Tong's scream was heard from the sky to the 18th level of hell, and everyone in the base could hear it. Why don't you clean it up quickly? Luo Ren was also convinced by this woman. She was right by the river, but she didn't wash it quickly, and was still screaming here. Was she trying to attract all the residents of the base? Suan Tong jumped into the river immediately after hearing this, regardless of the 5 big men watching on the shore. Due to her scream, curious residents gradually rushed over here, just in time to see the scene of a lotus emerging from the water. The soaked clothes fit tightly to her body, outlining her perfect figure with protruding front and back points. Suan Tong hugged her chest with both hands, her face blushing, as if it was about to drip blood. Luo Ren gestured to Luo Shan, Luo He and others. What are you looking at? Hurry up. Come on. What are you looking at? What's so good about it? Go home and see your wife. Luo Shan and others understood, and immediately drove away the group of curious LSPs. Luo Ren took off his coat and handed it to Suan Tong, saying, put it on, don't catch a cold. Suan Tong blushed, took the coat, put it on quickly, covering up her perfect figure, and said, thank you, Brother Ren. Luo Ren just stared into her eyes and asked solemnly, and Tong, let me ask you, what do you think of the base? Seeing Luo Ren like this, Suan Tong's heart trembled, and then she looked directly into Luo Ren's eyes, and told the truth. I think the base is very good, whether it is the residents, the guards, or the order here, they are all very good. I like it here. Luo Ren asked again, then what do you think of me? Suan Tong said, I think you are a very good leader, Brother Ren. Chapter 46 The first outsider to join the guard, Part 2. What Luo Ren saw in Suan Tong's eyes was sincerity, without any falsehood. After being silent for a long time, he sighed inwardly, and then said to Suan Tong, don't tell anyone about the evolutionary crystal, including your sisters in Daughter Valley, Su. And Tong nodded obediently in agreement. Brother Ren, don't worry, God knows and the earth knows, you know and I know, and by the way, Luosh and Luo Hei, Luo Jaluali and the others know. Luo Ren thought for a while, took out the remaining evolution crystal, and handed it to Suan Tong, saying, that's it, now you are a member of the guard. They have all swallowed too, so I will give you this one. Suan Tong happily took the evolutionary crystal, looked at Luo Ren with softer and more respectful eyes, and suddenly saluted, understood. Seeing her decent posture, Luo Ren smiled and said, there are also 3 principles of the guards that you must keep in mind. What are the 3 principles? Suan Tong asked. Luo Ren hooked his fingers and said, Luoshan, tell her. Luo Shan, you must not betray your superiors. Luo Hey, you must not betray your superiors. Luo G, you must not betray your superior. Rowley. These are the 3 principles of the base guard. After Suan Tong heard this, the tall image he had just established in Luo Ren's heart immediately collapsed. She couldn't help but give Luo Ren a roll of her eyes and said, do you think I'm a traitor? Luo Rensin looked at it carefully, then touched his chin, slightly and said, it doesn't look like it. That's it. Suan Tong then gave Luo Ren a roll of his eyes. Seeing this, Luo Ren said, by the way, there is another rule, that is, you are not allowed to give me a blind eye. Suan Tong held her breath, and looked at Luo Ren speechlessly. The rule of co-authorship is, that you can add, if you want and change, if you want. Luo Ren's expression was serious, and Suan Tong had no choice but to agree. I will work hard to change it. By the way, sir, please restrain yourself, and don't always make shocking remarks that make me want to roll my eyes. Luo Ren shook his head and said, no, that's not okay. I'm the commander. I don't want me to restrain myself. I want you to restrain yourself. Suan Tong was speechless again. Why did this guy look like a domineering president, but who asked him to be the chief? She had no choice but to agree. Okay, my chief. In this way, Suan Tong became the first normal human being to join the escort. The 6 of them came to the barracks. Luo Ren asked the 4 Luo Shan people to test each other, and then took Suan Tong into the warehouse, which was filled with weapons, ammunition, and combat uniforms. Suan Tong was stunned for a while. The equipment of the escort army already made her feel incredible. She didn't expect Luo Ren to have so much infantry. She really doubted whether this guy had looted a military area. The combat uniforms were all of the same style, and there was no choice. Luo Ren randomly picked one and gave it to Suan Tong. Take it. Suan Tong excitedly took over the combat uniform. Such a professional combat uniform has higher defense and is more comfortable than ordinary clothes. It is just more troublesome to wear, but it is not as good as ordinary clothes. Walking to the place where the weapons are displayed, Luo Ren said, a pistol and a saber are standard. Choose the one you are good at with the long gun. Holy shit, big sniper. As far as her eyes could see, there was an anti-machine sniper rifle, which made Suan Tong couldn't help but curse. Her eyes were hot and eager. Unfortunately, after some ideological struggle, she reluctantly looked away. When Luo Ren saw it, he couldn't help asking, just take it if you want. Why bother? Are you worried about whether there is a gun or not? Don't worry, there are enough bullets. Suan Tong said, it's not because of the bullets, it's because a sniper is too heavy, and I can't lift it. Luo Ren put a hand on Suan Tong's shoulder and said helplessly, sister, do you remember that you ate an evolution crystal when you were by the river? Yes. Suan Tong suddenly remembered and was excited. No longer hesitating, she grabbed the anti-equipment sniper rifle with both hands, took a deep breath, and gathered all her strength. Hey. The anti-material sniper rifle weighing nearly 30 kilograms was lifted instantly. Due to excessive force, Suan Tong retreated repeatedly. Fortunately, Luo Ren reacted quickly and hugged her, so she did not fall. Suan Tong's face turned slightly red, and she quickly left Luo Ren's arms. Thank you. Immediately, she looked at the big sniper she was holding, and weighed it a few times. It didn't feel as heavy as before, and was as light as a normal automatic rifle. I want this one. Suan Tong said. Luo Ren nodded and said, okay, but I have to remind you that sniper rifles cannot be shot accurately without a certain amount of experience. Do you understand this? Don't worry. Seeing Luo Ren agree, Suan Tong happily ran out of the warehouse and came to the shooting range. This kid is really fearless. I think the first time I used my sniper rifle, I missed it. You, a little girl, can still be better than me. Luo Ren followed closely and came to the shooting range. He looked at Suan Tong, who was holding the sniper in a very professional manner, and muttered disdainfully. However, the next second, he was dumbfounded. Point boom, boom, boom. Suan Tong pulled the trigger continuously and fired 3 bursts. Under Luo Ren's gaze, the gun hit the bullseye. Not only Luo Ren, but also Ki-jun, who was training the escort at the training ground, was surprised. He ran to Luo Ren and said, Brother Luo, this girl's marksmanship is good. She is better than my previous team members. It's not much different. Where did you get it from? Luo Ren was dumbfounded. He looked at Ki-jun and then at Suan Tong, looking at both sides like this. At this time, Suan Tong, who had just finished shooting, came over happily. Seeing Luo Ren's appearance, she reached out to help him close his wide open mouth, and then gave him a smug smile. Luo Ren hurriedly asked, have you been a soldier, or a special forces soldier? Suan Tong said, no, I just like guns, since I was a child, and my father took me to play with them a few times. Luo Ren was speechless, and looked at Ki-jun. After the battle in the factory, Luo Ren asked Ki-jun for advice on shooting, so Ki-jun knew why Luo Ren was like this, and immediately patted Luo Ren on the shoulder, and gave him a comforting look. Brother Ren, do you want to learn? I can teach you. Suan Tong said without knowing why. Luo Ren was really going to be autistic. Suan Tong said such words now, and he automatically assumed that she was showing off, which really gave his self-confidence a great impact. You continue to practice. I have something else to do. I'm leaving first. Luo Ren waved his hand and turned to leave. He had to go back to calm down, and just at this moment the urgent alarm sounded throughout the base. Luo Ren looked towards the city gate and his eyes suddenly condensed. The guards quickly assembled and rushed to the city gate for support. What's wrong? Suan Tong asked. Luo Ren replied, when the alarm sounded, there are only 2 things, zombies attacking the city or the enemy attacking the city. Let's go and take a look. Without stopping, Luo Ren burst out at an extreme speed, like a humanoid motorcycle, rushing towards the city gate. Suan Tong looked left and right, rushed into the warehouse, quickly changed into combat uniforms, and then followed. As for Ki-jun, he did not belong to the guards. His duty was only to train special forces for Luo Ren, so he did not follow. Luo Ren jumped onto the 4-meter high wall and looked outside the city. It was not zombies attacking the city, but the enemy army. Moreover, they were old acquaintances with whom he had fought several times. Luo Ren saw a familiar face among the thousands of soldiers at a glance. Hu Fei. Chapter 47. Hu Fei, who overestimates his own abilities. It's true that there is a way to heaven, if you don't take it, and there is no way to break in from hell. Before he could go to trouble him, Hu Fei walked to the city first. Today, he will never come back. Luo Ren waved his hand to signal the following guards to stop temporarily and not to climb the city wall, deliberately creating the illusion of a shortage of troops. He guessed in his mind that Hu Fei must have thought that the last ambush had caused heavy losses to his team, so he dared to lead his army to attack the city. In this case, he would use a trick to make him think that he had suffered heavy losses and catch him off guard. When the time came, outside the city, Hu Fei, who was surrounded by his men, shouted to Luo Ren. Luo Ren, right? I checked your details. You have an army of 1,000 people. I don't know where you got a batch of sophisticated weapons, but now, there should be only half of your army left. How about it? I'm not satisfied with the zombie gift package I prepared for you. The coldness in Luo Ren's eyes was piercing. He had never wanted to kill someone so much before. He said in a low voice, Hu Fei, young master of Hu City, I remember you. Today I not only want you to come back, but also we are going to send troops to destroy Hu City. Haha. Hu Fei sneered, with your hundreds of remaining soldiers and defeated generals. Do you know how many soldiers and horses I have in Hu City? Let me tell you, the 4,000 people I brought today are only a quarter of the troops and horses of my city of Hu. You still want to destroy my city of Hu? It is simply a daydream. Then I will wake you up today and conquer your city. Kill all your people. Luo Ren said coldly, idiots are talking about dreams. If you have the strength, just come. With your current attitude, if I attack the city later, even if you kneel down and kowtow to me 10,000 times, I won't let you go. However, don't worry, I don't want your life. Looking at your little appearance, I won't let you go. He's quite handsome, and one of my brothers is like this. Speaking of this, Hu Fei smiled evilly and said word by word, I will let them take good care of you. Hearing this, Luo Ren's eyes became more murderous, and he was about to fight back. At this time, Suan Tong rushed over and responded first. Hu Fei, you are really shameless. You also know that your subordinates have this hobby. I wonder how you know this. Have you tried it? Ha ha ha. As soon as Suan Tong finished speaking, the escort burst into laughter. They all looked at Hu Fei strangely. Even some of Hu Fei's subordinates couldn't help but glance at Hu Fei strangely. Those who were closer even tightened their anus. Quietly opened some distance. Yes, how did Hu Fei know? Hu Fei was shaking with anger and his face turned red. He looked at Suan Tong angrily. This woman had always swallowed her anger when she was in Daughter Valley, but now she has become so sharp-tongued. Luo Ren gave this to her. Courage. Hu Fei pointed at Suan Tong and said through gritted teeth, Suan Tong, you will definitely pay the price for what you said. Price? What price? Suan Tong glanced sideways and said coldly, I pay the price. I think you are the one who has to pay the price today. Suan Tong was not afraid at all. Where her confidence came from, it really came from Luo Ren and the escort. On the day she came back, she saw that more than half of the escort had been destroyed, but after just a few days, the number of the escort had returned to normal. And this issue, there was no recruitment of new soldiers at all. The escorts seemed to appear suddenly. There were also weapons and ammunition in the outer city and a warehouse full of them. This was simply a miracle. From this, Suan Tong believed that Luo Ren was not lying. But he really has the strength to destroy Hu Cheng. Luo Ren couldn't help but look at Suan Tong again. He didn't expect that this woman could not only endure but also speak. She was so angry that Hu Fei was speechless after just a few words. HMPH. Hu Fei snorted coldly, his face turned red and his teeth were itching with anger. Okay, hello. When I break the city, I will let you know the consequences of offending me. Hu Fei. Brothers, here you go. I fight. Following Hu Fei's order, Hu Cheng's troops immediately formed their formation and advanced towards the base. Some of them were carrying ladders. They actually planned to use a human seed tactic to send these ladders to the bottom of the city and then climb over the city wall and enter the inner city. It's a pity that modern warfare uses cold weapons such as guns instead of swords. Facing Hu Fei's mindless tactics, Luo Ren couldn't help but shake his head with a contemptuous expression, which was worse than the Ma who were in Paradise City. Luo Ren did not order to fire immediately. Instead, he waited for Hu Cheng's army to approach within 50 meters of the city wall. He immediately waved his hand and the soldiers guarding the city wall quickly climbed onto the city wall, set up their light machine guns, and fired bullets. The trajectory of the bullets formed a dense fire net, covering the attacking Hu Cheng army. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of people were killed by machine gun fire. Hu Fei looked confused. What's going on? Hasn't more than half of the escort been destroyed? But now the city wall is full of people. At a glance, there must be at least 800 or 900 people, and they have been out fighting for several days. Why are there so many ammunitions? This is unscientific. Seeing that his team was about to be wiped out, and the smell of death was getting closer, Hu Fei quickly boarded the Hummer, and urged the driver to drive away. The driver was also frightened and immediately stepped on the accelerator to the bottom without caring about the lives of others. This war couldn't even be called a war, it was more like a one-sided massacre. In just a few minutes, only a few hundred of the 4,000 Hutchin troops were left. They threw off their helmets and armor and ran away in all directions. Luo Ren ordered the city gates to be opened, and the escort troops went out of the city to pursue the remaining soldiers of Hu City. He himself boarded his vehicle and, with enough power, pursued Hu Fei in the direction of his escape. If it was an ordinary attacker, Luo Ren might not pursue the enemy, but it would be difficult to calm his anger if Hu Fei didn't die. At the same time, in the Hummer, Hu Fei saw a modified off-road vehicle following closely in the rear view mirror. He was anxious at the time and hurriedly urged, "Drive faster and get rid of the car behind." The soldier driving the car was already scared when he heard someone chasing him from behind. He looked in the rear view mirror and saw that it was indeed the car behind him. He immediately broke out in a cold sweat. He also wanted to go faster, but the accelerator was already stepped on the bottom and couldn't go any faster. Seeing this, Hu Fei became more anxious. He gritted his teeth, pushed open the skylight on the roof, leaned out half of his body, picked up the gun and shot at the vehicle behind. Luo Ren's reaction speed was extremely fast. When he saw Hu Fei was about to shoot him, he immediately drove with one hand and leaned out of the window with a pistol in the other hand to take the initiative point. Bang bang bang. He fired several shots but missed, but Hu Fei was so scared that he quickly retreated back into the car and dared not stick his head out again. Luo Ren continued to shoot, and the bullets hit the glass of the Hummer, frightening Hu Fei in the car and trembling, cursing, "Damn it! Damn it! Damn it!" The speed of both cars reached the extreme, and the rear car could not catch up with the front car, and the front car could not get rid of the rear car in this chase. I don't know how far or how long I drove. Luo Ren glanced out of the car window and saw a strange scene. At the same time, in the Hummer, the driver could no longer hold his spirit because of extreme fear and long-term high concentration to maintain a very high speed. He fell on the steering wheel and fainted. Bang! The vehicle lost control and crashed into an abandoned house on the roadside the next moment. Chapter 48 Death of Hu Fei. Squeak. Luo Ren stepped on the brakes urgently, and the car slid several meters and left 4 long tire marks on the ground before stopping. In addition, the previous car hit the wall, and such a huge movement immediately attracted the zombies wandering around. Fortunately, there were only dozens of ordinary zombies, so it was not a big problem. Luo Ren got out of the car with a saber, moved his feet, and his figure flashed. The zombies attracted were split open one after another. After a while, dozens of zombies were slaughtered. The Hummer was still very strong. Under such a violent collision, only the engine was broken and was emitting black smoke, but other parts of the car were not damaged much. Luo Ren stepped forward and pulled the back door of the Hummer open. Hu Fei in the car was already unconscious. Luo Ren did not kill him directly, but dragged Hu Fei out of the car and threw him into the back seat of his car. While chasing him, he considered getting information about Hu Cheng from Hu Fei, but he was not in a hurry to kill him immediately. The vehicle started, turned around, and was about to return to the base. Suddenly, there was a black mass in front of him. Luo Ren looked closely, and his scalp went numb. He was shocked and broke into a cold sweat. The black mass was actually all rats. Their eyes were scarlet, and their 2 front teeth were estimated to be 5 centimeters long. Each of them was as big as a piglet, and their teeth were bared, which was very scary. Seeing this scene, Luo Ren only had one word in his mind: run. But when he turned around and ran away, a black mass of rats appeared behind him, and then a black mass of rats appeared on both sides. He was surrounded by rats. Damn it, fight. At this time, there was no other way. Luo Ren gritted his teeth, stepped on the accelerator to the highest level, and rushed towards the rats. Bang bang bang. The big rats kept rushing towards the off-road vehicle and were knocked away one after another, but their vitality was very tenacious. After being knocked away, they fell to the ground motionless, as if they were dead, but after a few seconds they came back to life and continued to rush towards the off-road vehicle. With such a constant rush, even the modified off-road vehicle could not withstand it. The body of the vehicle was scratched, and the front and rear windows were shattered. Fortunately, it was about to rush out of this black ocean and reach the land, but at this moment, the alarm of the vehicle's fuel exhaustion lit up. Damn it, no way, there is no fuel at this time. The previous chase had caused the fuel to run out, and it was reasonable to run out of fuel at this time, but it was reasonable, but this was worrying Luo Ren to death. The land was just ahead, but the fuel was exhausted. This was not a joke. The fuel was consumed, the vehicle could not generate power, and the speed gradually slowed down. If the vehicle stopped completely, Luo Ren had reason to believe that it would only take a blink of an eye for these terrifying rats to submerge the car. At that time, unless the gods came to rescue, it would be a dead end. Luo Ren glanced at Hu Fei in the backseat and thought, it's a pity that we haven't got the information yet. After saying that, he looked at the land within reach in front of him, gritted his teeth, tore off his seatbelt, smashed the windshield, came to the hood, and then kicked his legs, using inertia to throw himself dozens of meters away, rolled forward and landed safely on the ground. Luo Ren ran away without looking back. Because of his kick, the speed of the off-road vehicle slowed down even more, and it was soon stopped by the rats. They smelled the blood in the car, which was the smell of food. They bit and scratched, trying to dismantle the iron box to get the delicious food inside. It was also at this time that Hu Fei woke up from his coma and heard the harsh scratching sounds from all directions. He suddenly opened his eyes when he saw the big rat's scalloped eyes, sharp teeth, and hungry and flowing saliva. He couldn't help screaming. The next second, the car was dismantled and Hu Fei was completely exposed to the rats. Without giving him any chance to breathe, the rats swarmed up and piled up into a black hill. Hu Fei in the hill was instantly dismembered, and his flesh and blood were eaten by countless rats, leaving no bones. On the other side, Luo Ren's speed exploded to the extreme. He didn't want to become food for the rats. He ran all the way, without direction or goal, only a hop to escape point unknowingly. It was dusk. Luo Ren looked back and saw that the rats didn't catch up. He couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Then he looked forward, and there were several big trees standing. He aimed at one of the big trees as thick as a basin, then jumped onto the branches of the big tree, panting heavily, and finally he could rest for a while. On the branch, Luo Ren recalled the swarm of rats, and felt a little scared. He quickly asked, "System, are those rats also first level evolved animals?" "No, they cannot reach the first level evolved animals. They are 0 level evolved animals." The system quickly gave an answer. Luo Ren was very surprised and said, "These rats are as big as piglets, and their 2 big front teeth are as sharp as knives. Moreover, there are so many of them. They are not considered first level evolved animals. In my opinion, they are more terrifying than first level evolved animals. Species such as rats, locusts, and bats are peculiar species among evolved animals. They are very small and their individual strength is not strong, so they will be one level lower than other animals after evolution, but they are huge in number, and they are often tens of thousands each time they go out, so evolved animals that are one level higher than them can only choose to flee when they encounter them." After listening to the system's explanation, Luo Ren understood that, although the strength of a single person could not reach level 1, there was still strength in numbers. No, it should be that there was strength in numbers of rats. God was really not nice. The number of humans was also large, so why did humans become zombies? The humans surviving were all ordinary people, and they had to hunt down evolved zombies and evolved animals to obtain evolution crystals to enhance their individual strength. Speaking of evolution crystals, Luo Ren's eyes lit up. "System, do those evolved rats have evolution crystals in their heads? If there were evolution crystals in the heads of the evolved rats, it would be great." Although he could not defeat such a large number alone, he still had the army. With full firepower coverage, even a group of rats with tens of thousands would have a high probability of being defeated. As long as he harvested a group of rats, he could obtain tens of thousands of evolution crystals, and he could completely turn the guards into a super soldier corps. A super soldier corps of 1,000 people. It was exciting to think about it. By then, Hachan would be swept away by him. When encountering a group of rats, he would not need a gun. He would fight with a saber. Anyway, he would not become a zombie if he was injured by an evolved animal. Imagination is extremely beautiful, but reality is always cruel. The system immediately poured cold water on Luo Ren. Only level 1 evolved animals have evolution crystals. Level 0 evolved animals do not, and large-scale evolved animals like rats, even if they reach level 1, do not 100% have evolution crystals. Luo Ren said helplessly, it seems that vigorously developing the population and unlocking more advanced weapons and equipment are the right way to enhance the strength of the base. Time passed by, and Luo Ren was almost done resting. He stretched and looked around. He had not checked the environment of this area properly just now. Standing on the tree and looking out, there were actually 5 humans resting on the mound not far away. Those humans also found Luo Ren the moment he stood up, and immediately up, and approached the tree where he was. The weapons and equipment of these 5 people were very backward. 2 of them held homemade spears, 2 held machetes, and 1 had a knife on his waist and a homemade earth gun in his hand. Luo Ren looked at the man holding the musket. He was sturdy, and had sharp eyes. He was the only one among the 5 who had 2 weapons, so he guessed that he was the leader. The 5 stopped 50 meters away from the tree. The man holding the musket aimed at Luo Ren and shouted, "Come down." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49. Luo Ren was robbed. Hearing the shout, Luo Ren took a deep breath. Under the gaze of the 5 people, he jumped down from the branch that was 5 or 6 meters high and landed firmly on the ground. The 5 people were secretly frightened. This guy was quite powerful. However, with the large number of people and a gun, they were not afraid, and their attitude was still very bad. "Boy, what are you doing here?" asked a man with a machete point. Luo Ren looked around and asked, "Barren mountains and ridges, do you live here?" The man didn't know why and subconsciously replied, "I don't live here." "That's fine, isn't it? This is not your home. Why do you still care so much?" Luo Ren said sternly. "Okay, do you know what this is? It's a real gun. Be careful and I'll shoot you," the man said angrily. "Shut up." The man with the gun glared at him, then looked at Luo Ren and said, "Young man, although you are very skilled, you are only one person after all, and you have no weapons. There are 5 of us here, and the weapons in our hands, our weapons are deadly things. I don't ask for much. Just hand over all your food, and I'll let you go." "Boss, his clothes are not bad," someone whispered in the ear of the man holding the gun. The man with the gun heard this, and took a look at Luo Ren's clothes. "Well, it's not bad. That's it. Keep the food and clothes and leave." Luo Ren smiled contemptuously. A few rotten losers actually wanted to rob him. However, they did not kill anyone when they came up. Therefore, Luo Ren did not have any murderous intentions. Otherwise, these 5 people would have died long ago. "I told you to hurry up." Seeing that Luo Ren didn't make any move after he finished speaking, the man with the gun became anxious and urged. Facing the urging, Luo Ren's eyes flashed with slyness, and he said with a smile, "No hurry, no hurry, I only have very little. I have a better place to go. There is plenty of food there, but I don't know what you guys are doing. Do you dare to come with me? If you are afraid to go, lead the way." The man with the knife was overjoyed when he heard that there was plenty of food, and said with a fearless expression, "He's playing tricks on you. You damn sure believe it." The man with the gun quickly stopped him. The person in front of him showed no fear, and he couldn't help but look at it carefully again, thinking, "This man is facing us. There is no fear at all. I don't know if he is pretending, or if he is really powerful. But he doesn't have any weapons on his body. Is he sure he can defeat us with fists and kicks?" "Yes." The man holding the gun thought of something. His eyes suddenly turned frightened when he looked at Luo Ren, and he swallowed nervously. Could it be that he is an evolved human being like Brother Tay? He remembered again that this man had jumped from a tree 5 to 6 meters high just now, with no harm done, and a relaxed look on his face. Therefore, the more he thought about it, the more nervous and frightened he became. He involuntarily took a few steps back and quickly put down the gun. As the saying goes, he was not afraid. 10,000 is just in case. Several other people wondered why their boss suddenly put down his gun and looked scared. The gun boss shouted hurriedly, "You guys put down your weapons quickly. He has seen the power of evolved humans. He can lift a big stone of 300 to 400 kilograms with his bare hands, and his speed is comparable to that of a skinny zombie on all fours. Unless it is a team of 100 people with guns, they are no match at all. The evolved human being in front of me has been deeply offended just now. If they don't correct their attitude, I don't know how they will die next." The other 4 people were puzzled, but 3 of them obeyed the boss's words and put down their weapons. Only the man with the knife who spoke before rolled his eyes and quickly picked up the gun that belonged to the gun boss on the ground and pointed the gun at Luo Ren. "What are you afraid of? I tell you, take off your clothes and hand over the food quickly, otherwise I will shoot." The gun boss was so frightened that he broke into a cold sweat and hurriedly yelled, "Asshole, put down the gun quickly, you will kill us." Not only did the man not listen, but his tone was very contemptuous. "He is just a stronger human being, isn't he still an ordinary person? I have a gun in my hand, why am I afraid of him? Could it be that he is wearing an iron cloth shirt with a Jin Gong cover and bullets can't hit him?" Where? After saying that, he took a few steps closer to Luo Ren and shouted, "Hurry up, I don't want to say it a third time. You, put down the gun quickly, it will really kill us." The gun boss was even more anxious and almost cried. Luo Ren smiled contemptuously and said, "Okay, then you have to put it away." After hearing this, the man looked back at the gun boss proudly, which seemed to mean that you are not suitable to be the boss because you are a coward and you should give the position to me. Taking advantage of the moment when the man turned back, Luo Ren moved his figure, ducked in front of the man, and grabbed the gun. The other 3 people were suddenly startled and immediately understood why gun boss was suddenly so afraid of the person in front of them, because at this time they were as scared as gun boss in their hearts. The gun boss sighed secretly. He guessed correctly, but he was not happy at all. Bringing such a pig teammate had completely offended this evolved human being. The man who yelled felt a gust of wind blowing by and his hands became empty. He immediately turned his head, his pupils shrank sharply, and he stumbled and fell in fright. At this time, he still had a hint of majesty and arrogance, and his face was full of fear like the others. He quickly knelt down and kowtowed, "Spare my life, spare my life." This performance was even more impressive than gun boss and the others. The 4 gun bosses also knelt down and were trembling all over. At this time, the 4 of them were cursing in their hearts, dead to death. If it hadn't been for him, how could he have completely offended this evolved human being? It's all this bastard. Damn it. Son of a bitch. Luo Ren held the tail of the gun in one hand and the head of the gun in the other, and then bent it hard, and the metal made earthen gun was bent like this. The gun boss and others were even more scared when they saw this scene. Throwing away the abandoned earthen gun in his hand, Luo Ren looked at the man kneeling on the ground and said indifferently, "Don't you want my clothes and food? I'm standing here, come and get them yourself. Grandpa, please spare my life, please spare my life, I don't notation, I don't dare to do it anymore." The man kowtowed frantically and begged for mercy. "I'm talking to you. If you want my clothes, come and take them off yourself. If you don't, I'll kill you now." Luo Ren kicked the man upside down and shouted sternly. The man was also afraid. Hearing that he was going to be killed, he knelt in front of Luo Ren and tremblingly reached out his hand to touch Luo Ren's clothes. Hiss. Luo Ren took a deep breath, kicked the guy away, and said angrily, "I told you to take it off, but you still did it. Didn't you say that if I didn't take it off, you would kill me?" The man muttered in his heart, feeling very aggrieved. Did he get caught by the door here? Luo Ren looked at gun boss and others and pointed at his head. Boss gun plucked up his courage and said seriously, "I haven't been caught by the door, but once when he went out to find food, he was resting against a tongue tree, and a tongue nut fell from it and hit his head. Newton discovered gravity when an apple hit his head, but he became nervous after being hit on the head by a tongue nut and didn't find any physical phenomenon. I guess it might be the weight of the tongue nut and the different height from the apple. According to the equation, y is the height, x is the weight, and this function." Luo Ren's brain was boiling after hearing this, and he quickly stopped him. "Is it reasonable? Are you going to read me a novel, or give me a lesson, boss? Gun quickly shut up. Seeing him shut up, Luo Ren asked, okay, let me ask you, weren't your attitudes quite arrogant at the beginning? Why did you suddenly change 180 degrees? Chapter 50 Gao's Hei. Because you are an evolved human being, even if we have guns, we are no match for you. If you still don't know what to do, aren't you looking for death? The gun boss answered truthfully. Read evolved humans? Luo Ren was secretly shocked. I don't know if the evolved humans he talks about evolve naturally like animals, or if they are humans like me who swallowed evolutionary crystals. Luo Ren asked, besides me, have you seen other evolved humans? Of course I have, our village leader is an evolved human being. Gun Boss 10 replied. Fortress leader? Luo Ren thought to himself, it seems that these people are not a scattered team, but a team sent by a big force to search for food. However, we can learn about the so-called village owner and their shelter from these people. Luo Ren then asked, what is the name of your shelter? How many people are there? What is the strength of the troops? Also, what is the name of the leader of the village in your mouth, and how did he become an evolved human? The gun boss did not dare to lie and said clearly, our shelter is called Gao Village. This is the name given by the owner of the village, which means living an ignoble life in the last days. We have about 7 or 8,000 people in Gao Village. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name. As for the strength of the troops, how can I say it? Because we all spontaneously organize teams to go out to search for food. If we don't go out, there will be no food to eat. And if the village is in danger, we all guard it together. It's more like signing up for a group to keep warm. We insist on talking about the strength of the troops. That is the village leader's team of 100 people. Also, our village leader is called Kente. I don't know the specific reason why he became an evolved human. I guess no one in the village knows, because Tay suddenly became very strong overnight, and he said it himself. He is an evolved human being. Luo Ren touched his chin and thought, becoming stronger overnight does not rule out natural evolution. Of course, he believes that Kente ate evolution crystals, because if natural evolution occurs, it cannot be so rare in number, and tens of thousands of people in the base. No one has evolved naturally, and no one has evolved naturally among the forces I encountered. This is very unscientific point. I just don't know what level of physical fitness Kente has reached after eating a few evolutionary crystals. After some thought, Luo Ren said, get up and lead the way. The gun boss was a little confused and asked cautiously, where are you going? Where do you want to go? Of course it's to Gao's Hei. Do you know the way to other places? Luo Ren said. The gun boss was shocked when he heard this, but then he felt relieved. Luo Ren was just a human being. Even if he was an evolved human, it would still be dangerous to encounter a large number of zombies. He should only go to Gao's Hei to seek shelter, but there is one more thing. The gun boss rubbed his hands and said with a flattering look on his face, well, we will take you to Gao's Hei. Can you don't forget the faults of the villain and let us go? Luo Ren was speechless and immediately showed a fierce expression. Hurry up and lead the way, or I will kill you now. The gun boss was startled and did not dare to ask any more questions. He called out to his brothers and kicked the pig teammate to let him go ahead. Please, come with us. Gun boss and the others were very familiar with this area, and the journey went smoothly without encountering zombies or evolved animals. They took Luo Ren to their destination, Gao's Hei. Very quickly. In front of Luo Ren was an abandoned factory with people moving around and various simple houses made of various materials. At the entrance, the word Gao's Hei was written on a piece of cardboard with charcoal and pasted on the wall. There were 2 soldiers on duty here, but when they saw Luo Ren and the others entering the village, they showed no intention of intercepting them. Following the gun boss, I walked into Gao's Hei. The environment inside was far inferior to that of the base. All kinds of garbage could be seen everywhere, and no one was cleaning it. Fortunately, people are not beasts and have their own sense of shame. They can recognize garbage randomly, but when relieving oneself, one still knows to dig a hole in the land outside and then bloom it. Therefore, the village does not stink, but people who go out are in trouble. People often step on landmines, leaving shoes all over. Arriving at a simple house made of wooden boards, iron sheets, and rags, the gun boss pointed and said, this is our residence. Do you think you are? Luo Ren looked inside the house. There were a lot of clutter in the small room, and the remaining space was for 3 beds, which could barely squeeze in the 5 gun bosses. Luo Ren dared to stay in this situation, and besides, he was not here to stay. Yes, he immediately said, you can sleep on your own, I have my own way. By the way, which house does the leader of Gauss Hair live in? The stone hanging in the gun boss's heart fell to the ground. Hearing Luo Ren's tone, he should have let them go. He quickly pointed to the collapsed factory building with less than a fifth left, and said, that's the village owner's residence. Luo Ren took advantage of the situation, and took a note, then took out a few pieces of compressed dry food from his pocket, threw it to the gun boss, and said, this is hard work money and hush money. Don't tell anyone about my affairs, otherwise, you know the consequences. Don't worry, you can kill us without telling us. The gun boss was overjoyed to see that there was still food, and quickly nodded in agreement. Luo Ren left the residence of Boss Gun and the others, and walked on the road. He was not in a hurry to find Kinte, the leader of Gao village, but planned to take a tour of the entire Gao village first. Brother, 2 portions of food, I'm yours today. Passing by a room, people in the room saw Luo Ren and rushed out, grabbing Luo Ren's arm. Luo Ren looked at this person. Long term had caused her to be malnourished, and her face was sallow and thin. She had blackened her face with potash, but her delicate facial features still revealed that she was beautiful, and it could be seen from her body shape and facial features that she was a girl of 16 or 17 years old. Luo Ren looked past the girl and saw the situation inside the house. A little boy of 7 or 8 years old. His face was pale, his cheeks were sunken, and the outline of his bones was printed. After not receiving a reply for a long time, the girl became anxious. She held Luo Ren's arm harder and said hurriedly, 1 piece of food. 1 piece of food will do. Sir, please. My brother will starve to death if he doesn't eat, please. The girl slowly knelt down, tears falling from her cheeks, and then she thought of something again. She quickly let go of Luo Ren, ran back to the house, and got a bottle. There was still half a bottle of water in the bottle. She carefully poured out the water. Dare to waste. Wash away the potash on your face bit by bit, revealing your beautiful and charming appearance. She walked up to Luo Ren and stood up, trying to let Luo Ren see her face clearly. She thought that Luo Ren's delay in agreeing was because her dress just now was too ugly. Luo Ren was moved by the girl's actions, and couldn't help but ask, didn't the village leader Kinte help ordinary people? The girl replied, the village master is only responsible for maintaining order in the village, and will not care about our life and death. If you want food, you have to find it yourself, otherwise you will starve to death. Luo Ren then asked, in that case, why don't you join other teams, and go out to find food together? The girl said, I think so too, but the men's team is too dangerous. They are all very honest in the village, but their true nature will be revealed when they leave the village. In the past, many women joined the men's team, but very few of them could be intact. If you come back, you either can't come back, or you have a mental breakdown. My eldest brother was here before. Although there was often not enough food, he would not starve to death. However, my eldest brother went out 7 days ago and never came back. The food in the house was all eaten a few days ago. My younger brother fainted many times because he was too hungry. Just give me half of the food, and I will be yours today. There is also a women's team, why don't you join? Luo Ren asked. The girl shook her head, they think I'm weak and slow, so they don't want me. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.